02-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. So save that number. Now, later in the show tonight, Nairobi is set to host its first ever polygamy conference dubbed Beyond Polygamy. Now, we'll be discussing the evolution of the practice of polygamy in Kenya, and we'll be asking if you agree with the slogan that polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but is about every woman having a husband. So feel free to start dropping comments below on whether you agree with this or not. Na bila kusahau, tutapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Omoshfire, na tutadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och jezi yake nambari 7 mgongoni, akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour we'll be talking about the impending deployment of Kenyan police forces in Haiti. Some analysts have called this a suicide mission, but there are some nuances that we might be missing regarding this mission. Now, feel free to tell us whether you are tuned in. Feel free to tell us what you think about this, and if you're tuned in, or rather where you're tuned in from, whether in Texas, whether in Minnesota, whether in Atlanta. Drop a comment and tell us where you're tuned in from, and also tell us what you think about deploying the Kenyan police force to the streets of Port-au-Prince in Haiti. I'm your co-host and anchor Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 6th of October, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Now, please remember to subscribe to our One Mic Show YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at One Mic Show. And on panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mic Kamakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och will be joining us via Zoom, and our resident DJ Moshfire tayari amekuwa kituroga pale on the decks. And also not forgetting super producer Mubelwa Bandio. And I want to take time to officially welcome all the guests who are already in. I can see Slay Odwor yuko ndani pale tayari.
Kama SIM card.
Yes, kama SIM card. Washekendirangu pia amewasili. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can also see Afro-Jamaican, and he boldly says, I agree with polygamy. So maybe Afro-Jamaican, you can expound on that. Is this a practice that's practiced in Jamaica? Why do you agree with it? Why do you think a lot of people disagree with it? This is a conversation that we're going to be having later on in the hour. Na Rasvik, tunakaribisha sana. Rasvik anasema hello. And Slay anamsalimia One Mic peke yake. Na sijui kwa nini anamsalimia One Mic peke yake.
It's okay. Ali,
wengine sote
tumezoea.
But it's all right.
Slay waganatubebaga tu what is it called, kipetero kiesu.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate.
No, it's okay. You know, no worries at all. But we are gonna get started right away. First, I wanna welcome Omosh. Omosh, karibu sana. How was your week?
Asante. Ali, it was a good week. Tuko hapa.
Okay.
We had an interesting weekend. Mm-hmm. Actually, we spent quite a bit of time this weekend together.
We did.
Unlike a lot of ninis, yeah. Family type situations. Mm-hmm. Hang out with DjSunny.
DjSunny, Sistuki.
Man, that was some good time. I mean, I was his personal driver at some point, which we hung out. I haven't hung out with him like that, since North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And it was nice. It was refreshing. It was different. Alituroga. Then of course the work week unakuja unangangana nayo, and you know, we look forward to kukachini na kamkunji na watu wetu, na tuko hapa.
Okay. All right. Karibu sana. And then you know, Slay amekusalimia, Cecil amenisalimia, amemsalimia Mika Och. Asante sana. I don't know whether Mika Och is already tuned in. Mika Och, how are you doing? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm here. How are you doing?
Okay, good. How's your week been, Mika?
Well, it has been a long one. It's been long since I did 2 nights in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was an exciting weekend, as Omosh said. A lot was done. A lot was faced. But we have been coming on to this weekend, as Omosh said, coming to the work week. To say the work week imekuwa rough, but it's been nice.
Okay.
Glad it's Friday and tuko base.
Okay, good. And I think
it's a long weekend for some people.
Yeah, it's a long weekend for some people. There might be a holiday on Monday, but I don't think everybody's getting that
not
holiday.
not for everyone. That is
Yeah.
for sure.
Is it when America was discovered or something? This holiday that's coming up.
Oh, when that guy supposedly did something about discovering Tujui.
Yeah, I think it's.
Wait, is it this weekend?
Yeah, this coming Monday
Yes,
apparently.
Monday ni holiday,
Yeah.
Mikasi, just in case
It-
ukujua.
But is it Columbus Day or is it another holiday?
Boss, it's a holiday. I don't know which one it is.
Okay.
Bank holiday.
Somebody-
Indigenous people.
No, it's
Day
not
or something.
It's
Okay.
not.
It's one
not.
of those.
No, it's actually it's a major, but then it's one of those. It's one of those that not
It's
everybody.
Columbus, but banks have it because it's called bank holidays. India.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's
so-
indigenous people. See, it's they stopped calling Columbus. It's
They stopped-
indigenous.
So some people
stop
still
calling
call
it Columbus.
Yeah.
some people still call it Columbus.
We know who.
But what I can
Republicans.
but what I can tell people
sorry.
is if you find people calling it Columbus, feel free to take credit for anything you never did. That's the only way to deal with it. Like if people come start telling you about Columbus, take credit, like for discovering something that take credit for being the founder of McDonald's. Take credit for anything that you never did. But don't say that it's me who told you how
Huyu
to do
Ali
that.
Ali is, I swear. No, unajua hizi vitu anasema hezi enda kazini nazo.
I mean, no,
He cannot.
No, but I'm just telling you, like to neutralize, because there are people.
Kenye anakwambia tu ni wewe pia enda udiscover tu property ya mtu.
na uweke fence.
No, defense.
Nyinyi watu.
Eh.
In fact, sometimes I have to analyze why I'm even on this show with you guys. You
Yeah,
guys are
It's-
mean.
It's not like you have a choice. I'm just saying.
Anyway, like to get us
Very
started
mean
this
people.
week, the DV 2025 visa lottery program for green cards is actually out. You want to go online and check. Online registration started on the 4th of October. That was on Wednesday, and it will be running through the 7th of November. We're gonna share the link on the comments. Just feel free to share it with friends, with relatives, and even those people who are in the US, like without status, because they're also eligible for DV lottery. So, and people especially who have children, this is something that can benefit you. So feel free to share. This is real. It has worked for so many people. So make sure you go out and share it with your friends. So that was just a quick reminder on
Give
the
us
DV
give us those details, Kidogo. Exactly. Some people might be hearing about it for the first time.
So you can find this on the State Department website. All the details at travel.state.gov. And I'm gonna share the specific link on online. So the registration opens up. Rather, it opened up on the 4th of October.
Correct.
And it will be running through the 7th of November. Now, mapema ndio best, because a lot of times people who try to apply in the last minute, the system gets jammed up, and there's a likelihood that your application may not go through.
They also have quotas.
Within
So
time,
if they
yes.
hit the quota of your country, and you're the guys who came in last week, and your country had a lot of people who had applied, and they've gone through those past whatever, say 10,000, then you're short like a
do they
little
have,
rat.
I know they have a quota of how many green cards they give.
They
but
have
do a
quotas per
quota
country.
I know they do have that per country of how many green cards they give, but do they have a quota for applicants?
Okay, so when I say a quota, they don't necessarily have a quota for applicants, but because it's based upon country, then the earlier you go in, the better.
The better
right?
your chances?
You're better your chances, yes. Because if I'm the guys, if let's say we are looking at them, right? We're going to look at them in the order that they've come in.
Yeah.
So if they start looking at them in week 1 and Kenya has hit the quota, everybody else
I approve. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Like they approve.
is short
Okay.
because they're going to go by
The
your
first
come,
applicant
first- yeah.
wakipita kama umechelewa shauri yako.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's first come, first served.
All
So
right.
if again they're going through the applications and you qualify based upon whatever their criteria is, right? So if they go through the Kenya quota within the first 2 weeks, and you're the guy who came in the third week,
Yeah.
you may qualify, but they won't look at it because they've already got the number they needed.
Okay. All right. Make sure you put in your application, or you share. We're gonna share the link, or you share the link with family and friends, because this might be a good opportunity for your family, friends, and for people who are here without Makaratasi. And Slay here is telling us, I came through DV lottery, so please apply. So this does indeed work.
Huh?
Yes.
So Slay is a lottery queen.
Yeah, she's a lottery queen.
Kweli, see me behind the tent.
And there's actually a lot of Kenyans who came through the lottery.
Yes. Funnily enough, something that I noticed, people who are here who apply for their RLAs get. But even though themselves they are wana karatasi and they apply, they don't get.
That's a case with my cousin. My cousin used to live in Florida, but he got papers for Canada. But he's the one, like all our family members who've got green cards, ndo aliwaapply, like when he was living in Florida, and he's still doing it. He also applies, but the people he applies for tend to get. So that sometimes happens, and it's good. And I can see DjSunny Sistuki is also tuned in. We're later going to be doing a recap of last week's show. Last week was an amazing show. A lot of questions are still coming up. A lot of controversy based on some of the
things Sunny said
that he aired.
Is that the things that Sunny said?
Yes. So we are all gonna be we're gonna be doing a recap, and we also want to welcome Julie Rain. Karibu sana to the One Mic Show. And then later on, we are going to be talking about the delicate subject of polygamy. And
why is it delicate?
No, it's a delicate and sensitive subject.
I'm just trying to figure it out, because unless you guys know something that I don't know, all of us here, our grandparents,
were
polygamists.
It's a delicate and sensitive subject because times have changed, and the reality is
it times have changed or the pocket has changed?
No, times have changed. It's not even necessarily the pocket. It's not even necessarily the pocket, because there's a lot of rich people. There's a lot of rich people who are not polygamous. It's a practice that's looked down upon. It's looked on.
Mzungu alisema ni dhambi.
Yeah, mzungu of course alisema ni dhambi, na tunaamini kichochote ambacho mzungu alisema. So it's looked upon as backward. And it's looked upon as outdated. But then there will be this polygamy conference in Nairobi, which is dubbed Beyond Polygamy. And there was a slogan which had asked people earlier whether they agree or disagree, where they said polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but is about every woman having a husband. Feel free to drop a comment down there, leave your opinion, and let us know. We're going to be talking about
Repeat that again, please.
So it says polygamy, and these are not my comments, these are slogans that came from the people who are organizing the conference. So before you start looking at me sideways, just know that I'm just a messenger.
So these are not the opinions of the One Mic. I mean, these are not the opinions of
these are not my opinions.
Mjuku akiva miwani.
No, this is not opinions of Karani ameva miwani. They're not opinions of Mjuku. They're not opinions of Ali Badawi. This is just a message that I'm relaying from the organizers of the conference, where they said polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but is about every woman having a husband. So drop a comment if you agree or disagree. And feel free to tell us, what you think. That's gonna be later on in the hour. But
Ali, are you sure this was not a subject of men's conference and the same organizers are the ones who brought this thing around?
We're gonna find that out later on when we start talking about it. Yeah, but I want to go to the topic of the day, and this is regarding Kenyan police, an impending deployment of Kenyan police to Haiti. Now, according to Google Bird, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2699, adopted on the 2nd of October, authorized a Kenyan-led security mission to Haiti. Now, this mission is a response to the 2018 to 2023 Haitian crisis and the gang war in Haiti, with UN support initially requested on the 7th of October in 2022, a year prior. The resolution also extended previous arms embargoes. Now, the mission, known as the Multinational Security Support Mission for Haiti, MSS, is tasked with supporting the Haitian National Police in protecting the civilian population and reducing gang violence. Also tasked to assist the Haitian government in extending its authority and control throughout the country, and then also to create a secure and stable environment for the delivery of humanitarian assistance and the provision of basic services to the population. Now, the MSS is authorized to use all necessary means to carry out its mandate, including the use of force in self-defense and in the defense of civilians. The mission is initially authorized for a period of 1 year with a possibility of renewal. The resolution was adopted with 13 votes in favor, that's within the Security Council, with exception of Russia and China, who abstained from the vote. And we're going to discuss maybe why they chose to abstain. And then now, as of currently, that's as of the 2nd of October 2023. That's like 2-3 days ago. Kenya, Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Antigua and Barbuda have agreed to provide personnel, while the United States offered a maximum of $200 million. The mission is expected to deploy to Haiti in the coming weeks. And then, Googlebot here continues telling us about the significance of the resolution. It says it's a significant step towards addressing the crisis in Haiti. The mission is the first UN peacekeeping operation to be deployed to Haiti since 2017, and is the first mission to be authorized under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, which gives the Security Council the power to authorize the use of force. The mission is expected to play a vital role in helping to stabilize Haiti and create a more secure environment for the Haitian people. It is also hoped that the mission will help to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian assistance and the provision of basic services. Now, the success of the MSS will depend on a number of factors, including the level of support from the Haitian government, the cooperation of the Haitian people, and the availability of adequate resources. However, the mission has the potential to make a significant difference in Haiti and to help the country on its path to recovery. And I think, before I get on to the discussion with Mika and Omoshia, it's important to note that this is not the first it's not the first time this type of mission is going to Haiti. We've had UN forces deployed multiple times before, but it never seemed to tame the problem that Haiti is facing. Currently, Haiti is being controlled apparently by more than 200 gangs, and there is no government. The president had been assassinated, and we have a caretaker government under a prime minister who has no mandate. And I think at this point, I just want to give an opportunity to the panel to, just discuss this. One of the reasons why we're discussing this is because Kenya has agreed to deploy over 1,000 members of the police service for this peacekeeping mission to Haiti. Omoshfire, let me start with you on what your thoughts about this, both on the positive and negative side, and then I'm going to come to Mika. Omoshfire.
So I guess I'll start with the positives. The positive for this would be that, Haiti has gone through a lot. So if they can actually stabilize and make life better for the people on the ground, then it also then opens up the country for things like tourism, for tourists to come back, because a lot of their problems is in Port-au-Prince, which basically is the capital. And so, and that's also where there's a lot of tourist type things. So hotels have been shut down. It's not safe for you if you're a foreigner because of kidnappings. Of course, things like, shootings and so on and so forth, right? Because of the rival gangs who are fighting. So that alone will make it easier even for, if you have a government that's in control and everything, there's law and order, then at least the common mwananchi is no longer relying on these gangs for safe passage. Things like as simple as going to the gas station to get petrol, or should I say fuel, is something that they just cannot do because they have a lot of guys who are doing what do they call it? I guess I would call it they have Juakali gas stations where they literally go to the gas station with a can. They buy, petrol in those cans, and then they sell it at 3 times the price. And by the time you, as a regular guy, go to buy the petrol, in fact, they don't even put petrol in your car. You have to come with your can, with a jerry can,
yeah.
And that's the only way that you're going to get the petrol. So it's a problem. It's literally a huge problem, and so it's like there's lawlessness. Let's put it that way. And so by bringing some order, then at least the lives of the regular people, the kids, you can go to school safely, without ducking. All of those things can, your normal life can continue, because right now it's abnormal. There's nothing that is normal about the situation in Haiti. And this has been going on for a long time.
Okay, and do you think maybe the Kenyan Police Service has the capacity to bring this order?
My opinion is I don't think the Kenyan Police Service has the capacity to do it. I think, if, like you said, it's a UN mission, then collectively the UN mission should be able to do it. Now, if we are saying that this is solely the Kenyan police, 1,000 of them are being deployed to go into a country, and this is, I guess, where I say it's the negatives. You're being deployed into an area that you don't know the area. You may know the area because I guess, GPS, blah, 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 that doesn't get you to know the area. That's one, okay. And let's just remember how Somalia was.
Okay.
When they got occupied, or should I say when our peeps over here went in and they pulled out.
Yeah, and we lost
yes.
a lot of soldiers there.
It was catastrophic.
Yeah, and that was the military. That wasn't even the police.
Correct.
Here we have like the Kenya police going there.
It's Kenya police who are going in now, whether they are Reke Squad or the equivalent of Reke Squad or whatever they are called, and they could be SWAT type guys who are trained, have military training, even though they are under the police service, but they are military trained. Mm-hmm. They're still going in with that geographical disadvantage.
Okay.
Then the bigger issue for me, I think, more than anything, is the language.
The language barrier.
The language barrier. And there's going to be a point where you cannot rely on an interpreter.
Or Google Translate.
Or Google Translate or something. You know what I'm saying?
And the complication about Haiti with the language. Yes, there was a reshuffle and the former Foreign Affairs Minister, Alfred Mutua, had said that these soldiers are going to go learn French. But here's the interesting thing for those who know about Haiti or those who've interacted with Haitians. Majority of Haitians, I would say over 90%, speak a very conch Creole.
Correct.
That even a lot of people from
who
other
speak
French
Creole, yes, do not.
A lot of people from other French-speaking countries may not necessarily understand. I was always curious why out here West Africans speak to French-speaking West Africans speak to Haitians in English, and that always got me curious. But I came to learn is that a majority yeah, and it's a language that's used by a majority. Mm-hmm. It's a very small segment in the media and the educated class that use the French that's understandable. So even if they went and to Alliance Française for the remaining 3 months,
so are they going back to Langue Pierre?
And and that's what I'm wondering. And Langue Pierre is Je m'appelle comment tu t'appelles. I don't think that's gonna work. When
to wear malade.
Yeah,
Pierre Saidou is not gonna help them over here.
Yes,
because there's no one who's telling you there's malade. It's the bullets that's coming fast before malade is.
When you're dealing with a gang leader who has a name like Barbecue, like Tue Malade is not gonna help you.
And the name of the gang is what? G9.
Eh? There are 200 gangs.
Yeah, but that gang of it's G9. Those chaps are the ones who are off the chain. That's Barbecue's gang.
Yes, he has 20,000 people who are armed to the teeth, with rockets, with automatic weapons, with ammunition. So we're just waiting to see, and I can see a couple of comments are coming here. Jakano won Ian Karibu Sana. Jakano says, our brothers and sisters are being sent to the slaughterhouse, but I am wishing them well. Haiti has a long history of revolution. I do hope the logistics have been properly arranged to ensure the mission is successful. And then Slay says this will be a disaster. Haiti has a history of revolutions. And then James Olongo says that 200 million imepewa nani, Kenya ama Haiti. And then Jacano is asking, everything is controlled by the gangs, fuel, food, and roads. And then I think this comment here, as one mic is coming from this, it's saying the poor police officers, I hope they have, they leave Kenya with their affairs in order. Those gangs are waiting to skewer them. And then Slay says Kenya police are not well equipped. Lawrence Kihanya, is it only Kenya deploying? If so, why Kenya out of all countries in the world? Is someone benefiting from this, and what is the motive? Kenya itself is insecure, and I believe from that resolution 2699, I had the mention of Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, and Jamaica. Maybe Afro-Jamaican can confirm with us if Jamaica is actually deploying, but I think Kenya is in the leadership position, in this particular deployment. It's at the forefront, and that's the reason why President Biden gave a shout out to President Ruto during the UN speech. And you know, sometimes when these presidents from Western countries praise you too much, mbiu ya mgambo inalia, kuna jambo. You know, there's something that they're looking for. And then Esther Mulusa karibu sana. Esther says the main problem in Haiti is an economic problem, and secondly, the political problems of Haiti stem from the French and the American historically. This will not end well for our police officers. We are looking for people also who think that this mission will be successful, because there are some people out there who feel that the mission will be successful. So please feel free to drop your comments down there and tell us why you think that way. And then Jacardo Father says, I have been to Haiti with the military, and the level of lawless, no infrastructure, corruption makes it hard. There is no trust considering the number of NGOs that have been to Haiti, and there has been no improvement. And then Juliet AO, welcome to the One Mic Show. Juliet says, how are you gonna send local police to war? That's a very interesting question. And then Pablo is asking, is this factual? Please, please tell us. I can't remember what exactly it is that I said, but just please type up whatever you feel like is not factual, and we're gonna counter check.
I think he was responding to that comment that this typed with the One Mic Show.
Okay, yeah. So that's this commenting where we're gonna try to correct that. That's not the One Mic Show. We're gonna try to correct that on her profile. And then Pablo is saying, I would still want GOK to explain what the police officers are going to Haiti to do. Unfortunately, they have been loudly quiet, which is very true. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know whether they're just going to train the police officers there with the Pierre do French that they've learned to Emalad, or if
maybe they learned Alliance, or maybe the one for Alliance is not Pierre do. Maybe that one is it's a little bit advanced.
It's advanced.
Yeah, level 1 and level 2.
Yeah, it's Emmanuel Macron type of French.
Yeah, yes, I think that one is parlez-vous, comment allez-vous,
je m'appelle, comment tu t'appelles.
Yes, those ones are ici, yeah.
But now you see the problem is that the problem is that the gang leader who goes by the name Barbecue is speaking only Creole. So
Barbecue.
So if you throw commands in Pierre do French, he's not gonna listen to you.
I think really I think really at the point when they're meeting Barbecue, there'll be no conversations. There'll be no conversations.
Because Barbecue already sent a warning. He already sent a public warning to any force that's planning to deploy.
And if you were the guy who was in his shoes, you would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. Put yourself in their shoes. They are in their country. They have been running their territory. They are home. And then these chaps are being brought into their country. As the way they're looking at it, these guys are invading their home, their space. They're going to defend it to the teeth.
Exactly. Yeah. And
in fact, there's no conversation. What should have been happening was that they should have been having... I think, and I don't know what they've tried, is they should have been having some sort of dialogue with these guys and try to figure out a way where they can say, okay, guys, look, we understand that you guys don't agree with the government of the day, blah, 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 nini, nini. What can we do so that we can bring in a government that everybody agrees with?
Okay.
That dialogue should have been happening, but I think ilifika point wakasema to heck with the dialogue. Probably especially after that president was assassinated. What was it, last year or the year before?
I think it was the year before
when they went into the palace.
Yes.
They snuck into the palace.
Yeah, snipers snuck in and they're on camera. Like they have masks on camera. Now Pablo is saying your mic is squeaking, so I don't know. That's
my mic.
We're gonna check.
My check 1 2 1 2.
So we're gonna check. Please
maybe
confirm if
Omoshe's
mic.
Yeah, ours be good.
Or maybe it's his voice. And then here, James says already the ratio of men to women is 1 to 5, and the other 4 women.
Polygamy.
Oh, you're in history of polygamy. We're gonna talk about that later. And then let me see what other comments. Pablo is saying, I believe the mission will be successful. I just need specifics from GOK. Now, Pablo, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're saying you need like you need GOK to say what they're gonna be doing.
No,
there.
but GOK already said the specifics they gave is that they're gonna be going to Haiti.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
No, but I think what Pablo is saying is that he is hoping that it's going to be whatever the mission is going to be successful, and he knows it. And I've been thinking about what they're probably going to do. It's just going to be like those regular UN missions whereby they're going to be given money, set up a camp somewhere that is pretty safe from the gangs,
and the patrol.
And most likely they'll be told to like train a police force or actually do some policing, help police around with the local police. But I don't think they're going to engage in
they're not
conflict.
supposed to.
Like,
normally they're not supposed to, right?
Yeah, like normal US. I think the only time that they've engaged is when in Bosnia, when the UN camp was invaded, and then that I remember that was the mission when Kenyans really got a good reputation from, because they went and actually rescued the camp that was infiltrated. But then in Sierra Leone, when the rebels captured, was it General Mulinge? No, they captured some soldiers, and then General Mulinge, who was head of mission, gave himself up as a prisoner in exchange for the soldiers who were taken out. But then during all that fiasco, they attacked the rebels and they got all the hostages out. So I think this is going to be something like that.
But wasn't Sierra Leone?
There are chances of it being successful, Ali, because if all they're doing is just going to be doing proxy policing.
But wasn't Sierra Leone military? Because this is
It was military. But then again, there have been UN police missions before.
Okay.
This is not the first time there has been a police UN mission.
Okay.
So if it's just going to do the public policing and doing that, it might be a success, especially since it's going to be a multi-nation. But the thing is, if there's any confrontation and it turns ugly, then it's going to turn very ugly.
Okay, and then
very ugly.
Yeah, so Slay is saying it's like teaching guys Kiswahili, yet they are going where guys are speaking Sheng. And then Jodo says Haiti makes Kenya look like Dubai. Let them handle their problems. And then Esther says our police with their Calais accent speaking French Creole. And then Jodo says, what are we exchanging with Haiti voodoo? And then Pablo says, I don't think language should be an issue. People travel to countries that speak languages that they do not speak. The US go to Afghanistan and use interpreters. And this is very true. You know, like you do have people going to countries with interpreters. But myself, having done an interpretation job, I don't even qualify, despite the high level of interpretation I can do. I don't qualify to go become a US interpreter in a war zone. Like, let's say, for example, let's take Eastern Congo. And the reason being, besides being an interpreter, you have to have, like a certain type of training. If you're going, especially,
you need military.
If you're going to be embedded, if you're going to be embedded with units, there's a special kind of training that you need, which, in all honesty, I don't know, whether Kenya has that. And back to what Pablo was saying, we need answers. The US has developed this. Remember, the US for years has been involved in foreign wars, so they have a lot of experience in this. They have a lot of personnel.
Maybe they will be sending their interpreters.
So and that's what we don't know. We don't know what, because US
we don't know
giving,
that. Yeah, we don't know the inner workings.
Giving money, and I think part of the reason why US is giving money but is not willing to give up any troops is because currently there's no appetite for deploying troops
anywhere,
to another country, especially after the debacle, in the just ended Afghan war. There's no appetite for that. So I strongly feel, and this again is my opinion, and the reason why we have to come up with opinions is because we've not been told everything. My opinion is that this is an experiment that the US is trying of how to do these things by proxy, because there's no appetite to send boots on the ground.
Plus, you have to sell it, to Congress.
You have to sell it to Congress.
You're not just saying it, and then also the fans. And remember, we they saw this coming, right? Remember, we had a government shutdown that was coming down, right? The political will is just not there. right? They don't have the
There's
political
no
will.
appetite of boots on the ground.
There's no
No.
appetite for boots on the ground.
Any time at all.
Yeah, there's no appetite for boots on the ground. So this is an experiment that they're trying of how they're gonna be deploying
By
in places
proxy,
where
yeah.
they want to deploy. So to me, I feel like Kenya is a pawn in a much larger strategic experiment, because you curiously notice, the things that have been happening, starting from when Ambassador Meg Whitman was confirmed as an ambassador. It happened to be right before the election. So we don't know whether this is a coincidence. Now, this is where I say this is speculation, but she was appointed right before the elections. And then, she came into the ambassadorship before we had the elections. And then a couple of months down the line, Meg Whitman comes and says that the Kenyan election was the most credible. And remember, she's a diplomat. And it could be right. It could have been the most credible election, but she's a diplomat, whereby you're not supposed to wade in.
Yes, you're supposed to be neutral.
Political things that
you
are
really are
controversial.
supposed to be neutral.
And then beyond that, remember when the president came to the US, Meg Whitman was gallivanting around with him like he was the Kenyan ambassador. That was very, very weird, because on such a mission, you expect the Kenyan ambassador to have the forefront. Meg Whitman is supposed to be in Kenya, trying to find American business from Kenya, but she was here actively. That was very unusual, protocol wise. I've never seen something like that before, but we need to understand. And then President Biden gave a shout out on a UN speech. Those speeches are short and they're very deliberate and they're very specific. So there's something that we are not being told.
Ali, remember, we also have the trade agreement.
Yes, there's a trade agreement negotiations that are still going on.
Which is still ongoing. And that's been going on since the end of Obama's time. So
is Moses Kuria still on that thing? Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, Moses Kuria has been deployed to another ministry. But anyway, so many other comments have been coming here. Slay says, I think this is this saying the way police like speaking with a Kaleo accent, here Creole will be squeaky. And then Slay, I think was also saying Mika's mic has an issue. So I'm not sure whether that sound issue has been rectified.
So are they? Is everybody having a sound issue? Maybe they should tell us.
I mean, so far it's yourself and Mika. But anyway, Jakano here
Wanasikia issue.
Okay, mtatuambia hapo kwa comments. Jakano says there could be success, there could be with good organization, training and logistics. The only concern, as Omosh said, is they are in their country. They will be throwing stones, they will be shooting back, and they have heavy weaponry acquired from the Western world, not second-hand or used. These are good weapons. Unfortunately, Kenya police are going to fight the gangs and not to tackle the issues leading to lawlessness, employment, infrastructure, and health. And to me, my biggest worry is that I'm not hearing about the regular Haitian being spoken about. You're hearing that they're going to protect certain critical infrastructure, but there's no issue that's being mentioned about the day-to-day life of the Haitian who's living in fear. There's no government, there's disease spreading, there's there's access to services is no longer there because we don't have a government. But we'll wait to find out. Then let me see. Wow, there's so many comments coming here. I think we are gonna come back to them. Esther says ever since Black Hawk Down, that was in Somalia, which was a huge shock on Clinton's Marines, the US is wary of third world military missions. That's why they call upon black people to solve their problems. Omosh.
And we should not be, I think we use Somali loosely. Somali was such a long time ago, and things have changed in terms of even weaponry that is being deployed and weaponry that people are actually using right now. Things have really, really, really changed, right? So I think, again, there's things like drones that now have become part and parcel of military fighting, right? Mm-hmm. There's the heat-seeking stuff, like whether it's ammunition, or like they have ways of what is it called? Looking at a building and you can actually see people, people in bunkers. You're in a plane and you can actually see people hidden in bunkers, and rockets are over there being fired, and they're precision tuned artillery. Let me put it that way, right? Hakuna kuhepa hiyo kitu. Once they've set it in and locked in, that thing is coming after you. It doesn't matter where you go. It's got you, unless itagonga kitu ambayo unless it's gonna gonga a wall and they can't go behind that wall.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that thing got you. So the weaponry has become much more advanced from where the things that they were using in Somalia. Now back to this whole Haiti thing, and I think also part of it for us as Kenyans looking on from the outside, watu wa diaspora tunaongea, watu wa Kenya pengine kuna wale wanaongea, they're saying something. It's the for lack of a better word, the laissez-faire attitude that the government has towards doing stuff. They just get up, do it, and move on. And and they're like, okay, the normal mwananchi is supposed to swallow it and keep moving. Yet internally we have issues. We have issues in Lamu. We have issues in Wajiri. We have issues in Mandera. Kapedo ilikuwa sio ni hiyo area nini?
That's northern Kenya. Kapedo, I think that's in I think it's either in Turkana. I believe it's in Turkana County.
Kumbuka, even didn't we have was it a member of parliament who was killed out that way? There was
that I don't recall.
Yes,
but I know there were police who were killed.
There was police. I think it was a police chief or something or whatever it was, and there was the guy was high ranking. There was somebody who was, I think it was even kidnapped.
Yeah,
or something,
right? If someone who knows about it, maybe drop that in the
and
comments.
They even went. They tried to go in after that person. There's been several incidents that have happened in the Northeast Corridor that have been very, very worrying about security. And yes, we've had insecurity issues that we've been dealing with Somalia for a long time, since days of Shifter.
Yeah.
But things had calmed down. We didn't have those issues. And then the time when Raila was PM, that time was 2000.
That was 2011 when we deployed to Somalia.
Yes. And that was after sasa watu walianza kutupa magrenade. Unakumbuka wakitupa magrenade kwa, like I remember, there's like in Westlands, River Road, whatever, there were grenades being thrown in. There were
walikuwa narusha kwa mabana kwa nini?
Yes.
Kwa booking offices za mabasi.
Correct. And that was
like where there are people. Yeah.
Yes, and it got to the point where they said, "That's it, we're done, we're going in."
But one thing that I'm always curious about, and this is because we don't have information. The gangs in Haiti, for example, we know Haiti doesn't manufacture weapons. Where are they getting the guns? Where are they getting the ammunition? Whenever we hear about, like, even in this Sahel belt in Africa, where there was a lot of coups, there's a lot of groups that are always armed to the teeth. Like, where they getting their guns and where they getting their ammunition. We know the countries that manufacture guns and ammunition, and they're not in Africa, they're not in Haiti. So that's something curious that we need to know, because you may have.
There's somebody who's funding those gangs.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason why those gangs are being funded.
Yes, but
and especially when governments are overthrown, where it comes with political unrest comes in, it usually is more than just an insecurity measure or let's say criminal gangs. Those gangs are playing again the way Kenyans are pawns. Those gangs are also pawns to another proxy war.
Okay,
there's too much politics about Haiti in regards to the French, Americans, and.
But what about the minerals? What is it that's supposed to be over there? It's
they have a mineral
it's
called
uranium. Like, what is that
iridium.
thing called?
There's a mineral called iridium.
Yes, which isn't that down for batteries?
Yeah, and people are saying that's one of the things that.
And they're the only people who have it. Basically, our stock yao aishi.
Yes, and then upper award where it says, so the UN compelled African Union to prevent Haiti to joining the AU, and now they're sending Africans for peacekeeping in Haiti. Slay says, Samora said, the day you hear the West praise me, know I have done something wrong. And this is, I think, in reference to the fact that President Ruto got a shout out from President Biden during the United Nations speech. And then let me see. Pablo says the issues in Haiti are political, like those of Sudan. They should be left to sort themselves out first. Sudan is also a proxy war. Those militias, Russia versus the US, Sudan is also a proxy war. Like from my own assessment, and that's how, because I heard that some drones being used in Ukraine were also seen in Sudan. So we know that this was, and that's a problem of this dalliance sometimes with Western leaders. You will get yourself into a rabbit hole where
Correct.
you might not be able to pull yourself out easily.
You may not be able to get out.
Yeah, and then Udi says a Kenyan cop who can't handle a matatu driver will handle those guys.
But let's be honest. I think Kenyan cop is being used loosely here. The police service that we have includes military type units.
Yes, it does.
So let's not think of
the guy anakuambia utoe hongo.
Yes, let's not think of that guy.
But the problem that I have, especially with Kenya, as far as any conflict or war situation is concerned, our military, forget about even the police, our military
yes.
has not been involved in any war. I know they've been deployed to Somalia.
Correct.
But we don't necessarily have experience with combat, like the way, for example, the Ethiopian military has, the way the Sudanese have. We don't have that kind of experience.
Yeah, we haven't had. Are you calling this combat, or are you talking about dealing with militia type movements, or
this is almost more than a militia. Armed groups. This is more than a militia. It's more than an armed group. Why do I say that? These guys have assassinated presidents, and this is not the first president. Apparently, they've assassinated previous presidents before. This gang issue in Haiti is from back. It didn't start, recently.
It did.
So these guys have experience with assassinating presidents. So that's not just a
I think like
militia.
after Papa Doc, that was those Jamas said
it's not just a militia. The reason, I know you also talk about the paramilitary trained police.
Yes.
The reason I personally don't have confidence in them is that these guys are normally cooked and fried by tribal militias in the north. These paramilitary trained units,
correct.
They are usually fried by tribal the Samburus, the Pokots, the Turkanas. They fry them.
No, you're right.
And it has happened, multiple times.
And it's continuing to happen. I mean, they just had an operation when was that in June or something?
So in my thinking, if we have, a police unit that cannot deal with our own local tribal militias, when you look back at the mandate, it allows for use of force. So in the unfortunate situation where we end up in a situation where force has to be used, I don't want to imagine what will happen. I mean, of course, we don't want anything to happen to our police officers.
They'll have US drones.
I don't want anything to happen to our officers, but while being optimistic, I think we also have to be realistic, and that's the reason why, based on the experience, and that's the reason why I think it's important for the president to come and do a better explanation. There was a legality issue. Maybe Pablo can chime in on this. Former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga said that deployment of such a mission requires approval by Parliament.
Yes, and actually, Azimio had also protested, and they came out with a statement yesterday, and to that effect as well.
Yeah, in fact, actually, talk to us about that protest by Azimio. What did they say?
So they came out with a statement, and Azimio had come out with a statement on two things. So one was for the killings that had happened in Sondu, in Nyanza, and then the other was also for the deployment of troops to Haiti. And part of what was happening with the deployment of troops to Haiti was that, it's the timing is wrong. It's uncalled for. It's, it still has to be approved in Parliament, and that hasn't been done yet. It's still got to go through that process.
Yeah.
But more so, why are we going outside to deal with issues outside when we have our own issues inside, including Lamu, including Western Kenya, that we are not dealing with, can't deal with, and are not dealing with, including in Sondu itself. In South Nyanza, where the guys, there's killing.
What's
that's been
happening in
ongoing
Sondu? Because that's another issue that has not been properly covered by the media.
Supposedly tribal clashes. Like rival. People.
Clashes
on the
between
border.
who and who?
It's. What's on that border? Mika, do you remember the story? Kabisa on the other. It's border. Like, yeah, there's some issues over there, and it's supposed to be Kericho.
That region has three tribes.
Region Kericho. Go ahead.
And Luos, Kisis, and Kalenjins.
Yes.
Okay, so they're fighting for territory, or what exactly?
Supposedly, there's territory issues over there. So the line Kericho and so, and normally these people go back and forth.
They accuse each other of stealing stuff from each other. Basically, Bangombe, or they stole. That's how the conflicts usually start, by saying people went and stole on the other side. Then these guys come kill people. Then these ones retaliate, and before you know it, it's just some clashes.
Okay,
it's.
Okay, I mean, anyone who knows details,
Mbaya, houses are being burnt, people are being burnt in the houses, it's really, really, really bad.
And then most of it is usually also peer political instigated, because the political leaders are the ones who fund these youths.
Okay. So let me read a few more comments here, and then we're going to move on to, the Chicago Marathon, and maybe Mika is going to talk to us a little bit about sports. And then I want to remind the listeners that we are still going to be doing a recap of Sunny Sistuki's interview. Last week we talked a lot about the music, about what needs to happen in the Kenyan music industry. Should we adapt a global sound? Some people were for it, some people were against it. We're going to do a recap of last week's interview. And then we are also going to talk about polygamy. And what exactly is it that we're going to talk about in polygamy? There is a conference in Nairobi, and it's said to be the first polygamy conference dubbed Beyond Polygamy. And they came up with a slogan, and we'll be asking you if you agree with the slogan. The slogan says, polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but is about every woman having a husband. So feel free to comment to let us know whether you agree or disagree with that. But we're going to be talking about that later on. And then real quick before, I hand over this to Mika for sports, we know that the Chicago Marathon is going to be happening this weekend. And that's going to be the 6th, Saturday, the 6th of October. I'm going to pin the details of what time it's going to be. We have, a Kenyan contingent, maybe not our strongest contingent, but it's strong enough, I believe, to produce a winner. I think
that's a very strong field.
Yes, there's some notable names. There's some notable names that I see missing on the list, but I guess it's because Kenya has so much depth. I think we have Kelvin Kiptum, who has a personal best of 2 hours 1 minute 25 seconds. And then
and that is the second fastest man in the world.
That's the second fastest after Eliud Kipchoge. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we also have Benson Kipruto. His personal best is 2:04:24. And then we have 2 debutants. So watch out for them. These debutants sometimes come and surprise.
Correct.
There's a guy called Daniel Mateko. And then there's Wesley Kipto. Both of them are debutants, so watch out for them. And I think DJ Top Don and a big contingent of Kenyans in Chicago were hosting this marathon runners to a dinner. And then
like a dinner with champions.
Yes, something similar. Yes, and Chicago has done it. I think they used to. That tradition has been there in some of those major cities.
Yeah, sorry, and I think I said October 6th. October 6th it's gonna be October 8th, which is on Sunday. Yes,
on Sunday.
Yeah, so the marathon is gonna be on Sunday. With more than 45,000 runners, and then in the women's field, we have Ruth Chepngetich, who has a personal best of 2:14:18. And then we have also a very strong contingent from Ethiopia. We have Genzebe Dibaba, and we have another runner called Sutume Kebede. And then also from Kenya we have...
Oh, there's also in the Ethiopian field, there is Tadu Teshome. Mm-hmm. Actually, she's most likely the the one who will be giving Ruth Ngetich a hard time.
Yes.
But then on the Kenyan side, we also have Jocelyn Jepkosgei, who won the London Marathon in 2021, and she also has a very good time, very close to Teshome Nare's times of 2:17. Teshome is 2:17:36. Jepkosgei is 2:17:43. So it's a very competitive field, actually, if you just compile the whole women runners. All of them have a gap of a difference of less than 5 seconds as they progress from each other. So basically, based on their ranking on the best times, the differences between the runner to the next is less than 5 seconds.
Okay.
So it's a very, very competitive field, more competitive than even the men's field.
Yeah, other than Chepngetich, she's pretty.
Chepngetich has a 3-minute gap in her top speed than anybody else, but everybody else within that field is just 3 seconds of each other.
Okay, so that's gonna be on Sunday. I'll be sharing. I don't have those details with me right now, but I'll be sharing with you the timings so that you all can tune in. Mika, did we have anything else for sports today?
Oh yeah, this has been a very interesting week whereby 2 things actually happened. Number one is, but this one happened last week. Last week, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda put in a joint bid called the Pamoja bid to host the African Cup of Nations, and actually won. So the Pamoja bid, which was a bid that was put forward to CAF, as a contender for hosting the hold up, which year was I looking to? 2025 rights for the African Cup of Nations. So we actually won, and there are plans for Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania to host the nations within the 3 cities of Kampala, Dar es Salaam, and Tanzania. The stadiums that will be used have not yet been announced, but it is a good step towards the East African countries. And hopefully now we can see the political promises that were made in building the stadiums suffice. So I just want to discuss this real quick with you guys. What do you believe? Was the Pamoja bid a good idea? Should have Kenya stood out by itself, or do you think it's an equal distribution of resources which will allow to hosting a successful bid? And do you think we are ready to host such a bid?
I actually think the Pamoja bid was a good idea. I think if we went it solo, we may have lost that bid. I think the Pamoja bid was a good idea in the spirit of even East African unity. We have to remember that Kenya had the opportunity to host the African Cup of Nations in 1996, but we failed because of facilities. Now, the facilities that we had in 1996, maybe that's a time when
the same that we have right now.
Yes, maybe that's a time when Kinasle were being born, are the same facilities that we have right now. So I think, like that in itself is a problem. We've of course seen, like the computer generated images, kama kawaida, of what is gonna be of the stadiums that we're gonna build, or rather how we're gonna renovate Kasarani and how we're gonna renovate Nyayo Stadium. And I think at Jamhuri Park, they also want to build a new stadium. So we've seen renders of that. And then we also have seen, they've also talked about the Kipkeino Stadium. And to me, one thing that has concerned me, Mika, in these conversations, or maybe I've missed out, I'm not hearing Mombasa in the conversation. And here's my opinion. And not because of any regional biases, but I strongly believe Mombasa is one of the cities that we have to showcase if we have such an event. Because remember,
it is one of the cities that we have to showcase.
Yes.
Now the problem is there is no stadium in Mombasa.
So Mombasa Municipal has to be built afresh. Like it's not a stadium.
But Johor renovated it, and
but
The
that's
renovation was
but that's why
there
I'm
was an
saying
improvement to it, but then it reduced its capacity.
yes, and it's not as constructed. It's not
It's
suited
not a
for
stadium.
international competition. You know, it's not a stadium suited for international.
So do you think they
competition.
should build one?
Yes,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely.
They will have to.
Yeah, because
No,
Mombasa is one of those places.
I'm just saying, should they build one for AFCON? Will
Yes.
they be able to,
They
do
can,
it?
you know, they can build one for AFCON, and after they build it for AFCON, they can rent it out to Bandari football team, to Mombasa Sports Club rugby team. They can host cricket matches in there because Mombasa Sports Club is a cricket club. They can host. They can find use for that stadium.
Kabisa.
A stadium will never miss.
Shouldn't miss
purpose for it.
a purpose.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't miss a purpose.
No, it shouldn't. Yeah, so right now Tanzanians have stadiums that are ready to host an African Cup of Nations match. You know, like the Mkapa Stadium, for example.
If only Bandio is here to
it's-
confirm.
yes,
Yeye na Kagera Sugar yake.
Yes, if Bandio you're listening, maybe you can call 202-683-4570 *5. So to me, Tanzania, you know, like is more ready. You know, like just going based off on the stadiums that they've built, and even the smaller stadiums that they have, they usually have a very good field. There's something that they're doing that we are not. I don't know that more money is
they're
being
using
pushed.
different Chinese, or their Chinese don't speak Chinese.
Or I don't know that it's more money being pushed, or I really don't know exactly.
It's
Maybe
just
we can tell us.
Tanzanians
Pesa.
go
They
to
don't
watch
steal as
soccer
much.
in the stadium. Tanzanians go to
Actually,
watch
you're right. They do.
They love soccer.
really,
They
they
go
really
to-
go
so
to the stadium.
Their teams have a very huge home support.
Correct.
So people love. Yes, that's the same reason why, as we saw in South Africa, local teams have great home support. So it's easier for clubs to build stadiums because they can sustain having those stadiums.
Day to day.
Yes, on a day-to-day basis. In Kenya, the only teams that usually have a high support is Gor and FC.
And now we have Shabana.
Shibana bado haijaanza
Yeah,
kujaza
they have
katika
not
stadium.
picked up the way they should, but
They
they're
haven't picked up
they're gonna
because
get there. I mean,
they're going to get there, and unfortunately, I think that's the only way to go in Kenyan is community clubs. That's the easiest way to grow the fund
Yeah,
because
yeah.
with
Community
institutional clubs don't grow beyond the region where that institution is.
Okay, all right. So that's the situation we're in. And then there was also another story about the World Cup, Mika.
Yeah, so that was gonna be my second story, and FIFA announced the 2030 World Cup will be hosted in 6 countries. And
3 continents.
6 countries in 3 continents, yes. The first 3 games are going to be played in Argentina, Uruguay, and they're going to be played in Argentina, Uruguay, and I think it's Paraguay.
Paraguay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Paraguay, culminating the first 100 years of the World Cup. Those 3 countries were the first hosts of the World Cup. So, as a celebration for that, the first 3 games are going to be played in those 3 countries, and then after that, the games are going to move over to Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, who are going to be the main hosts of the tournament. So this is going to be a tournament that's going to be hosted in South America, Africa, and Europe. We've seen this trend in the awarding of the World Cup of late. Started out with the North American bit, which had the USA, Canada, and Mexico hosting the 2020. Going to be 2026 World Cup.
26 World Cup,
hosting the 2026 World Cup in a joint bid. So, just a question: do you think that this is the new hosting of sporting events, as we're saying it? Because we've seen events like Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, and even World Cups, leaving countries with a lot of white horses, white elephant projects after the tournaments have gone, and the burden leaves those cities broke. Do you think that this is going to become a norm where we're going to see World Cups and major tournaments being held in different countries? And does it make the tournament lose any credibility?
Well, I honestly think that this is the future. The first World Cup to be co-hosted was in 2002, Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it went back to single countries until the next World Cup, which is going to be hosted in US, Canada, and Mexico. And then now the 2030 World Cup that's going to be hosted in 6 countries. I honestly think that that's the new trend. Whether it's good or bad, we are yet to see. I think the Qatar World Cup was one of the best World Cups. It was one of the few World Cups where you could go watch 2 matches on the same day. You know, like it was, and that's never happened before. Because typically, if it's in the same country, the other game that's being played on the same day is being played, you know, like in a city that's far away. So this was a very amazing World Cup. And then the US one is gonna be in spaces that are next to each other. You know, Canada, US, and Mexico. So this is gonna be quite a good opportunity for people who live in the US. To take some time
travel,
off
yeah.
and travel around to follow where the games are gonna be. And then we now have 6 countries. I'm okay with those ones, with the Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. I'm okay with them because those countries are right next to each other, right there on the Iberian Peninsula, and where, you know, like the European side meets the northern part of Africa. Logistics are easy within those 3 countries. But to me, it's this addition of these South American countries that's problematic. I think they should have been given their own World Cup in 2034. Rather than, now having people who've traveled for a whole month for the World Cup. Now, Kenyan government officials will be benchmarking to see if Kenya is going to qualify in 2130. They'll now have more avenue to steal money because now they have to travel from
3 different
Morocco
countries
to Venezuela.
But I think, and they playing the first 3 games, are they within the same time frame? Because I think that was the...
So we don't have... those countries are definitely not within the same time zone.
I think the thing is, the thing that they were really wondering about is because all the teams have to be together for the opening ceremony.
Got it.
And the opening ceremony is going to be in Asia. And then from there, they're going to...
What do you mean Asia? You mean South America?
In South America, yes. And then now they have to travel to
where
their
they'll play.
places where they're going to be here.
Okay.
So what I'm wondering is those teams who have to play in South America and then travel again and then set up base in another country.
Yes, that's
a little
problematic.
bit tedious to the players.
Yeah, that's problematic. You know, it's a bit tedious. I know FIFA is trying to maximize on profits, but this is what you get.
I think it's symbolic. I don't know if it's so much maximizing because I think it's the whole point of that whole 100 years. Yes, it's the 100 years is.
Then they should just
go host the damn World Cup.
They should have hosted this in South America. Then.
Yeah, go host it there.
I hear what you guys are saying, but I think probably what's going to happen is what Kambi in whatever it is that you're going to play, and only then just go back. No, you're right.
Remember,
you're right, Mika. You're right.
And set camp like a month earlier.
You're very right.
Acclimatize to get used to the weather and everything.
You're very right.
So these guys are going to acclimatize in Europe, or are they going to acclimatize in South America? And then even if they wherever they are acclimatizing, that traveling is going to affect their game. So imagine they play a game. Those are going to be 6 teams that are going to play a game, and then they come back to Europe or Africa to play teams which have already played in Europe and have acclimated. Those teams coming back are going to lose.
I guess maybe it's going to be the luck of the draw.
So
now maybe Argentina. I'm sure because these 3 are host countries.
No, those
3 countries will play.
Are going to play their games at home here.
Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay are going to play versus somebody else.
Going to play at home.
They'll play versus somebody else, I think.
So hope that you're not in a pool that has Argentina, Uruguay, or Paraguay. because you'll be forced to go there for your first matches, and then like travel back to Europe or Africa for the other matches. So yeah, we're gonna find out. And some comments were coming in here from back when we were talking about the African Cup of Nations. Let me see. There's Pablo says the Pamoja bid was a very brilliant idea. Countries that bid solo lost. And then let me see. Slay says Mombasa is a tourist attraction. And then Jacano says we are more than ready. There has been more improvements on infrastructure, and with all the East money, we can do it. The organization also allocates money for stadiums. And then James Olongo says Kenya held the 4th All-African Games and did a good job. I hope Kenya will shine, at least hold the finals. At that time, the Kasarani Stadium was fairly new.
Yeah, 88?
Yeah, 87. It was 1987.
I forget the year, but I was there like a nonsense.
And then Pablo says,
Yeah.
Pablo says governors in Western Kenya are also fighting to have some AFCON games played in Western. What do you think about that, Mika? That being a bastion of a lot of talent.
Kakamega built a very good stadium. Oparanya built a very nice stadium.
African Cup standards.
African Cup standard they can host, because we've seen the way other countries have hosted. You remember the one that was in Burkina Faso? The stadium had a Mao in the middle of it, and like a huge rock protruding right somewhere at the corner at the end of the stadium. I believe it's just a matter of other things that might disqualify some of the cities. Hotels. You have hotels, facilities for them. Training facilities, I'm sure they can use the schools over there. So the things more like the hotels, security, food, those are the things that they're going to look and say those cities qualify with. But I totally agree. If as you said, just the way Mombasa is, every other city that feels they can host and they have the capability of hosting should throw in their hat in the ring and see if they're picked.
Yeah,
and Kakamega has flights now. They have flights that go there. So.
To me, the Kipkeno Stadium one, and this is not political, is the one that I've not understood. I have not known.
Is it needs to be refurbished.
But I've not known that being an area where people go. I'm not saying soccer matches have not been played there, but that's not a soccer area. Like the soccer crazy areas that we know: Western Kenya, Nairobi, Nyanza, Mombasa. These are areas that have been soccer crazy, that have people who are local people who are actually gonna go out and watch. You remember one of the issue that the AFCON that I think the last one that Kenya played, was it in Egypt? I think it was in Egypt, where there was an issue of stadiums not being filled.
That is a very huge problem in African Cup of Nations games, because usually, especially in Egypt, in those sides, Egypt, Morocco, and even in some parts of West Africa, you will only find fans of local teams or teams that are closer by, people can go.
Yeah.
Remember, traveling in Africa is very hard and expensive.
That's true. Even within a country.
Expensive affair.
Yeah.
Just traveling within Africa. So African fans don't travel that well.
Yeah,
they don't travel that well. So you want a soccer crazy area where the local fans can go. And then the good thing about Kenyan fans is that Kenyan fans have foreign teams they support.
So they'll pull up.
Find there's staunch Ivory Coast fans in Kenya. There's staunch Nigerian fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's staunch Cameroon fans in Kenya. So yeah, it can actually work out. Just go to a soccer crazy area, and those games will have. And if the tickets are pricing is reasonable, those games are going to have fans available.
Yeah, that's why for me, the Kipkeno Stadium one, it has kind of caught me off guard, because I just don't know. But let's wait and see and find out what's going to happen. Now, Luis Muya says Mombasa Municipal Stadium cannot be renovated to international standards without demolishing thousands of homes. There's just no space. They can build one in Vipingo though. there's already a dual carriage being built. That's a good idea coming from Luis Muya. And then Lawrence Kenya said, we failed in 1996 to host, and since then nothing has changed, not even a new stadium. God bless 254. And then Pablo says,
lakini waliweka study, didn't UK's government weka studies?
They on pictures. Which ones?
Which ones?
No, kuna mastadi waliweka. Sasa I can't
on
name
a flyer.
I can't name one, but I know I know as guys in HB County we finally opened a stadium.
Okay.
In Homa Bay.
Yeah.
Now
and I saw the governor.
And then Kisumu opened a stadium too.
Yes.
Kisumu also built their stadium.
But when you're talking about a stadium, are you talking about a Nyayo stadium or a stadium with a stand? What exactly do you mean by
no, very
stadium?
good stadium.
no, it's actually a very good stadium. It may not have
they
VIP
actually,
suites and things like that, but
Okay.
you know.
It's not fancy outside. The building outside is not fancy, but the facilities inside, the seatings, the terraces, they're numbered. Like the stadiums that actually you can say count the capacity of people. You can guarantee the safety of people. The turf is functional. Like these are functional stadiums that actually work.
Okay, and then Pablo says is telling Lawrence Kianya that KDF has been tasked with the building of stadiums. So hopefully this time around Kenya will get it right. Hopefully that's a good solid word to use.
Building of stadiums needs more than just KDF. It needs expertise of people who, they're specialists who build stadiums, who
people
design
built
stadiums
before. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
So especially stadiums that are gonna meet international.
Wale watu walikuwa kataa wakiweka hizo vitu ndio wanafaa kuletwa hapo, because they built those studies of Qatar like a joke.
And they built them in such a way that they can be
dismantled.
Dismantled.
Yes.
That was so futuristic.
And taken to
elsewhere and put up.
Yeah. So watu wakata walete tu hizo
Si wangezileta.
walete tu hizo
That's a better
study,
idea.
walete hizo study waweke hapo juu ya
In fact, there's a
kikeni.
lot of
walisha donate pale walidonate na zingine zikageuzwa because some of the places where the stadium were already supposed to be residential areas. Because I remember in December, like the one that the container one that was right, if you are from the Al Majid lounge, you could see straight, and you could see how they were demolishing it. That was when I was going to Kenya. Then when I was coming back, you could see the construction already had started, and they were building a residential area with the stadium theme around it. So
okay.
They had planned. They knew.
Correct.
What
Yes.
December
Yeah, they
was
knew
gonna
the
move away. Was going. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then there was also a comment that came from YouTube, and this is from Maria Mashaka. We're talking about the Tanzanian stadiums. I think she mentioned Arusha and Dodoma. So I don't know whether those are the cities that are going to be hosting the AFCON or where the stadiums are. But yeah, you know, like Tanzania has actually been doing very well on that front. And like Mika said, one big difference with Tanzania is that their teams have a fanatic following, and they have people who actually go to watch the matches, and they make those matches, you know, like celebrities go watch, you know, they perform.
Correct.
So that's
It's
something that we can learn from them.
And also don't forget, was it both the national teams, men and women, qualified for CAF? Or it was just the Jamas?
For AFCON.
AFCON.
Yeah, I think the men.
So the women
they're
still continuing. They progressed to the second stage.
Okay.
Yeah, they beat, I believe, was it Ivory Coast?
No, Cameroon.
Or Cameroon was Kenya. Kenya beat Cameroon. The Tanzanian women.
Oh, the Tanzanians, yes.
Yes, the Tanzanian women beat Ivory Coast, you know, like to proceed. So I think in East Africa,
But don't they host automatically as hosts, or don't they qualify as hosts automatically?
The AFCON that we are hosting is 2027.
Oh, you're talking about this one.
There's
Okay,
another
understood.
one that's coming up in 2025. I think,
Yes.
I'm not sure what country it's going to be in. I don't know whether it's Morocco but there's an AFCON coming up in 20. The one that we're doing, and coincidentally 2027 is going to be an election year. I see how that AFCON is going to be milked like a problem as a campaign tool. Absolutely. So it has fallen
when does it fall? In September?
AFCON is typically in, I want to say,
usually January.
So that is prime time to use it as a political
Aye,
tool.
yeah,
That's like more than like close to 6.
If stadiums can be built for that thing,
Yes.
this is the
will
proper
be-
political strategy.
No, but
where
that's
you
why
build-
Cape Kano is being gone for, because where is Cape Kano? You see, you have to play a game.
So 8 months. I think wameangalia wako na Mombasa, wako na watu.
We don't have interest.
We don't have interest here because these guys hata tuwapatie nini, they still won't vote for us. So I think that's why inapeleka huko.
Yeah, let's go with what we can arrange.
I wanted to say this. I wanted to add pertaining to community teams and community sports. Let me give a big shout out to this team of ours from Kabati Youth FC. Kabati Youth FC Mika wacha wewe. Wameingia Division 1. Si Premier no, you're smiling. Wameingia Division 1 pale juu.
Who's Kabati? You're talking about this team.
Kabati iko huko Murang'a.
Okay.
It's a youth.
Kabadi no
It's
Ushago wakina
a team.
one mic.
Yeah.
It's Ushago
Wow.
kwetu.
It's behind Kangemi.
No, it's not.
Oh, sorry.
Foko ndani thika huko. And it's a
Huko
community
Ziga.
team.
Okay.
Kuba for Mosh. It's a community team. Local boys. Actually, there's a time Isaac, when he was home, about
3, 4.
And who's
6
Isaac?
years. Isaac is my nephew.
Okay.
Can we
Isaac-
give
No,
no,
context?
because
I know,
Isaac
I know,
is the
I know, I
superstar.
know.
Yeah.
He's the superstar that we
he's
know.
a soccer player. He's my nephew who played for University of Maryland.
Okay.
When he was about 14, 15, he went on vacation. When he had gone vacation, he went to Korea and played with the boys because it was a team that was coming up. So this is a team of that has, kids have been put together, guys who've got talent kiasi, like we uko na hii, uko na hii, let's do something. So because it's been grassroots, it's not been that hard.
Okay.
Even supporting. So you chomoa like about $20, $50, yeah, that from this side, so that you assist with transport and where they need to go, like if they have to go to Kirinyaga, if they have to go, depending on where now the games have been set up in the teams and whatever location. So they have done their bit, they have done their work, they have elevated their game. So wameingia Division 1. From Division 1 sasa wametoka Division 2. So Division 1.
So they
is
used to be in
Division
Division
1.
2.
Yes,
Yeah.
walikuwa huko down.
So for context, tell people who maybe don't understand the divisionings of Kenyan soccer. Where is Division 1? Is it the top league? Is it one step to the top league? Is it 2 steps to the top league?
It's one step to the top league, and Mika can confirm for me.
Okay. So that means if they win this season,
If
or
they
in
win,
the top something, they'll
top
be
whatever,
promoted
they
to
can
the
be
league
promoted
where they'll
to
be
now. They go and
where they'll be
meet-
playing Goran FC.
Waende wakutana na kina Gor na AFC. Si ndio Mika? Just to be right.
Hold up.
Mika is still
you said they
laughing.
went to
They're in Division 1.
there's nationwide. There's Division 1 and then they go to nationwide then. So nationwide is where they play with nationwide is the second division of Kenya.
Okay.
I love the Premier League.
So
Sir.
Division 1 is the third division of
Yep.
Kenya. Okay. All right. So still some steps to get. Okay.
Still some steps, but now which makes me now want to really understand badala tu kufuata these other leagues. But it's good to fuata these other
Yeah.
leagues to know, because for us, for now Kabati, because it being small
Yeah.
and community, and now it's just local, like ni watoi wamegrow ukiwaona
Yeah.
who are now they're
Maboy wa mtaani.
maboy wa mtaani
Yeah.
tu.
But I think like.
So mukwende pale kwa Lawrence Kihanya's Facebook and muchange. His details are there as well and everything.
Yeah, but I think like and congratulations to Kabati, but I think we also need a model, like where these teams can sustain themselves, because you've seen teams in these divisions, do well, and then at some point they're unable to sustain themselves.
Yes.
Because of finances.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that we were talking with Lawrence, because like you sort of have to look at, and I think this would probably apply all over, like gate collection, selling merchandise,
Sponsorship.
sports sponsorships. So chances are, if done well, because it's local, it's within Kabati,
Yeah.
it's within Thika, you can get maybe businesses, you can get even maybe some funds probably being thrown from from somewhere.
Yeah.
But there has to be a model to sort of self-sustain. Agreed. Like if you're going to build a stadium or set aside a piece of land, Kabati is going to get, build a stadia, gate collection comes in, And then there's also a need for a way to manage, like get collections, money collections, such that the money collected goes and is circulating within the team. Unaona, like if somebody was generous enough to donate a bus sponsored by so and so, then you have your name there, or whatever. Such things. I mean, that's ideally, I'm in agreement with you, like, but as more sustainable way of raising funds. Because I was curious. I know, like with let's say for example, like in the Premier League, a team that's promoted, like now Luton, if you come from wherever you are, there's a pot of money that one gets, teams get.
Yeah.
From, I guess, from broadcast, whatever. There's a share.
Yes.
That you get.
Yes,
that you
there's a
use,
share
whatever.
that you get.
And I'm sure also even in the championship,
Yes.
kuna pesa muna get. And maybe Mika can help. Like, is
So
there...
actually what it happens is that there's money to winning. Like when you get promoted, you get money for winning, like from the pot for the winning and getting promoted is there, yes. But the thing that usually sustains English football is what they call parachute payment. So when you get relegated, because they know that you had bought players on a Premier League salaries, and then now you've gone to the Championship where the TV deals are lower, you're not getting enough money. So they give you parachute payments in 3 years. And those parachute payments are for you to be able to sustain yourself with the reduction of wages.
Okay.
So that allows teams to be able to transition themselves and survive for the Championship, and then also have enough money to get players to try and come back and get for promotion. It's happening because of the wealth of the Premier League, and that is how they can be able to sustain it. And so for this to work in Kenya, it means that it's a system that has to be taken from top to bottom. There has to be a fluid flow of money from the federation, from the leagues, that is going through the whole food chain, from the grassroots up to the top.
Na pesa isikulwe.
Okay, good. And as we draw to the close of the sports segment, Maria Mashaka again. I believe Maria Mashaka might be commenting from Tanzania. She's on YouTube. She says that they're going to host and build new stadiums. That's Tanzania. And she says Tanzania will host AFCON in Dar, Arusha, and Dodoma. So these are very strategic cities, and I like how Tanzania is thinking, like is looking forward and thinking about this. These are very strategic cities. If I was them, I would have added a loose Zanzibar in there. Zanzibar, Zanzibar, has they have a small stadium. The logistics, by the way, to Zanzibar is very easy. One thing with Tanzania, water transport, it is ahead of its time. Kenya tuna water transport.
Yeah, no, Tanzania.
You go to Tanzania,
they have very good water transport.
Kilimanjaro
yes.
ferry, it takes only it takes less than 2 hours, like from Tanzania mainland to Zanzibar. And then there's all kinds of flights that you can get from Dar to Zanzibar, from Arusha to Zanzibar, from all these other cities to Zanzibar. So if ours, and I don't know whether they might incorporate that, because that's another space that they've really been aggressively marketing, as a prime tourist destination. So I think this is quite forward thinking from Tanzania. Unfortunately, I know in Kenya we are gonna be playing. We're gonna be playing which one will have more political
who is
impact.
going to support me.
Yeah, and that's where I think Western might benefit.
Pakamielo.
Western might benefit because I strongly feel like like the president is really trying hard to court Western, and that's where I think Western might become a beneficiary even before a place like Mombasa. And that's just me now with my political mind and going by what the president has shown us, where he would do anything for politics. So I definitely think Western might get something out of this. But that was sports. And then let me see. I think that's it for sports. And then we're still gonna talk about polygamy. That's later on. And remember, there's a polygamy conference dubbed Beyond Polygamy that's going to be hosted in Nairobi. And we've been asking if you agree with the slogan that says, polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but is about every woman having a husband. Now, feel free to drop a comment on what you feel about this, whether you agree or disagree. We are going to be talking about that later on.
Some women want women. Sorry, carry on.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about that. But right now, we want to transition to, want to go back to last week where we had what I would say was a very historical interview, and I don't want to, like over exaggerate it.
Toot your own horn.
But I think it's a historical interview in the sense, not even the way the interview was conducted, but just the content that came out of it. The content that we had planned and the unexpected content that we got, from DjSunny Sistuki. A lot of controversy, a lot of agreements and disagreements regarding the direction for the Kenyan music industry. I mean, some of the things we talked about, we of course talked about his background in Eldoret and where he started DJing. We also talked about his experience being an Indian in Kenya, which I also found very interesting, and the fact that when it comes to intermarriage, he said he has no spectacular answer to explain, why it's very normal to him. And then more controversially, Sunny Sistuki said that Kenya music will not get a higher recognition unless it embraces a global sound. And he was saying, he was agreeing with DjSunny in that Kenya should adapt Amapiano and Afrobeat. But a good caveat he said that we should not stop doing genge, we should not stop doing gengeton, but he was of the idea if we adapt these global sounds, let's say like Major does an Amapiano song, that song might attract someone, and then once they get attracted to that song from Major, they'll start listening to other genge songs from Major. So that was DjSunny Sistuki. And then he also talked about the importance of education for our kids. Like whether your kid is talented, don't downplay the aspect of formal education. We talked about the Club COVID experience. And then we also talked about how promoters gauge an artist's worth. So it was quite a wide-ranging discussion. I'm going to start with you, Omosh Fire, because you've been in this music industry for a long time. Just give us your thoughts, maybe talk to us about aspects that you agreed with Sistuki, maybe where you disagreed with him on the way forward, especially for Kenya music. DJ Omosh Fire, the mic is yours.
So I want to thank Sunny for coming through. Like I said last week, and I even said earlier during the show, when we were doing our intros. And so on that whole topic about Amapiano, I'm very pro play Kenya, for Kenya, by Kenya. It's all about Kenya. And I take a hard line and I have a hard stance. And my hard line, hardless stance is based upon what I see people from other places doing with their music, the support they have for their music, and then as well as their lack of embracing our music, or maybe even music that is not theirs. And by that, I normally look at West Africa, right? Now, South Africa is an interesting animal where we've always had this love relationship with South Africa. I've never ever heard Kenyans come out and say we don't like South African music. And this is going back to the days of Kwaito, or before they even called it formally Kwaito. It was just South African music. When we used to listen to Peacock. My name is Peacock.
From Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
At those days,
Peacock.
those days of, yes, you're right, Kina Yvonne, I'm in love with a DJ, then of course then we came to Kina Brenda Fassie, and kept working our way up, right?
Dube.
And along the way, you have these what are they called? Those choirs.
TKZ. No.
The Mahot something, whatever. We had all those people, and then
TKZ, Mafikizolo.
Yeah, but yes, and all of those, I guess you'd term or throw under the Kwaito bus, so to speak, right? And Mafikizolo, maybe you'd even say they crossed over from the Kwaito into something else. I don't even know what you would call it. They're just so unique in terms of the sound that they come out with. So when we go into saying that if we come out with more Amapiano music, or a Kenyan musician does an Amapiano rendition, then somebody who is an Amapiano fan or Amapiano fans would then turn around and listen to this and say, oh wow, this guy's actually good. Let me go listen to what he actually plays. I see where Sunny is coming from, but I don't go for it. My thing about it is that if our stuff is our stuff, kama Nigenga, Manigengeton, or it's Kapuka, or it's whatever it is that we have, or it's Ohangla, we stick with that animal, and we just now have to infiltrate those markets, and we have to market ourselves there. There's, to me, that's if we're saying I want to change a guy or I want to hit the South African market, then you have to take your music and literally walk your music in. Nigerians are good at doing this. And when I say Nigerians, I really mean Nigerians. I don't say West Africans, I mean Nigerians. They will actually walk in, hold their music in their hands, and in the other hand, maybe they have like 10K. But they'll walk in and that music is going to be played. And enough times of that music getting played, then people start picking it up. Because how else were we picking up some of that music?
Now,
you know?
Now, before we get to Mika on this, Pablo is asking why we call this show historical. Historical is just because of the content that was being discussed, which is a subject of banter now amongst a lot of musician groups, artist groups. They're talking about that interview. So that means, there was some...
It's also historical because it was Sunny's first time here.
Yes, it was Sunny's first time here.
Let us get that straight.
Now, the thing that concerned me with what Sunny was saying...
Yes.
And of course, I respect Sunny as a DJ. He's been out there. He knows what's selling. He knows what's not selling. But the thing that concerned me a bit about what he said... and I wish there were so many questions that we had. We did not have a chance to ask him all the questions we wanted. At some point, I wanted to ask him, okay, let's adapt Amapiano. Let's adapt Afrobeat. Do you have an example to show us of a country that did this and their music blew up as a result of doing this? I personally don't know. Maybe there's one out there. I personally don't know. Tanzania. There's some people who might mention Tanzania because Tanzania has adopted that Amapiano sound. But my question is, has Tanzanian music grown outside of East Africa based on them adopting Amapiano music? Are we having, Diamond, selling out shows in South Africa? Are we having Diamond selling out shows in other parts of the world because of Amapiano music? I for one, haven't seen that. So they were already big in East Africa. They're already big in Tanzania. They're already big in Kenya and other East African countries. And they're still big there. Outside of East Africa, I think the Tanzanians are facing similar challenges
that the Kenyans are.
That the Kenyans are.
And other,
Yeah, and here's
other
another thing.
East Africans.
Yeah, here's another thing I'm going to say that maybe people are not going to take this kindly. But especially here in the US, when Tanzanian artists are performing, if Kenyans don't show up, that hall may be, if it was supposed to be like a 200 people event, it may end up being maybe 50 or 40, because a lot of Tanzanian, events, you go to Tanzanian artists, actually most of the people in there you find are Kenyans. So Tanzania is also.
So are you saying any other place other than Ohio?
No, I'm saying and I've never attended a Tanzanian show in Ohio. Maybe maybe that might be. I know there's a lot of them there, so that might be different. But what I'm saying is that the Tanzanian artists, despite their footprint on social media, they're having the same challenges, across the world, because you're not hearing Diamond selling out shows in Lagos,
No.
He's attending.
Neither is he opening for anybody who's a big boy.
Yes, and he's attending, he's performing in a lot of countries, but some of these spaces where he's shown big crowds, it's mostly festivals where there are so many other artists who are also within that festival. So I think, that sometimes makes people think that, this crowd actually came out here specifically for him. But it's usually, because I've seen some in places like Sierra Leone, I think I've seen in the Gambia. It's festivals where you have a lot of other artists. And they've done an amazing job. But to me, back to what Sistuki was saying, I'm not disputing that thesis, but I just want to know where
You want evidence.
where it has worked. I want evidence of where it has worked.
You're not convinced. It sounds like you're not convinced that selling our souls to eventually
this is
open the gate will help.
I'm
The
honestly
thing
I'm not
is this.
convinced, Mika.
the thing is that the growth of music is a juggernaut that uses many parts, not just one part, right? It starts with the part of music production, the artist and the producer on what they're producing. Then when that music comes out, it goes to the deliverers of the music, the DJs, the radio presenter, the airplays, right? And then from there, it comes to the consumers. Now then from the consumers is where it blows up. And most of the thing is most consumers of music don't understand the part they play in the selling and the growing of music. The only reason Nigerian music or Afrobeat music blew up is because Nigerians played their music everywhere they went without any shame. They pushed their music, they stuck with their music, and they stay with it. We are a versatile consumer market that consumes from a young age. You consume a lot of different genres, right? So even if a Kenyan musician jumped on amapiano and produced a very good amapiano song, and then we liked it as Kenyans, if we don't push it out, that Kenyan won't grow. It won't, because there's a lot of piano music out there. So if people don't sell that song out, it's still a Kenyan who jumped on a beat, got a little bit of success with it, but how did you transcend the market? And it's the same thing as what's happening with the Tanzanians, as Ali is saying. Harmonize, Diamond, every day they're dropping amapiano music. They're still getting the same audience that they usually use. They've not translated and grown and blown up. Nigerians, on the other hand, have jumped on amapiano. But as Nigerians usually do, they sell their people, they sell their music, and their music goes out. So there is Afrobeat that has an amapiano twist to it that is selling out and is spreading out. At the end of the day, it will all boil out to you as the person who's consuming this amapiano Kenyan beat by Veja. How are you selling it outside to other people? Because if we expect it just because we've jumped into amapiano, now we're going to transcend borders and grow. That's not going to happen.
So in short, you're disagreeing with DjSunny Sistuki. You're disagreeing with
I'm
his
agreeing
thesis.
with Sunny. We can get on the voice on the beat. It's a nice artistically. It's a nice idea. Does it give us another avenue of trying to cross outside there? Yes, it does. But the whole system has to work together. Unfortunately for us, that's not the only thing that's going to make us blow out. The whole system has to work together.
And
So the thing is,
yeah.
if we want Kenyan music to actually grow the way we say we want it to grow, we have to play it outside in spaces where we're going. When we hold out, it's there. We are pushing it. I'm not saying let's not play other music. Let's listen to other music. Let's play other music, but let's play Kenyan music proudly and loudly. Sell it outside there. Show people this is what is here. This is what we are selling. This is you remember the way Wamlambe's Gengeton wave during the pandemic just went. You could see even white people making reels from the Wamlambe song. Like it was spreading everywhere. That's how you're supposed to do it. Just push it everywhere. Push it, like play it loudly and proudly. And guess what? Your music is gonna grow. People like Burna Boy didn't grow just for the sake of their music being good or for him being his grandfather being Femi Kuti's manager. No. Nigerians played his music outside. They pushed him and they showed him and he went there. Now we have Genge as a category in the Grammys. Let it not just be one of those hidden categories. Let's
But
make
now-
noise about it for that category to blow up, to be a loud category.
Okay, Unomike had something you wanted to
No,
add.
and I was going to add. I think because of time also. So processing what Sunny said. There's also the notion of, so he gave an example of Rihanna. But Rihanna used she used to come, whatever she did, adopted a sound,
Yeah.
and then she blew up.
Yes.
But that is Rihanna. That's not the sound that she pushes now for her home country.
Yes.
We don't know what sound that they may have soca, but we don't know exactly
We don't know about it.
we
yeah.
don't know, right? And when the more I process that, the more I see that, okay, we may not have a sound per se, but we've got gengeton as a genre,
Yes.
and everything falls under that, which is okay. But and going back to what you're asking, and maybe you can maybe fine, umetumia a mapiano as a vehicle to burst out. How then are we going to use that to bring
in genge?
Because it's like, for me, I think if you're going to just do genge, that's an example. Just go genge all the way. And the only way you do that, like Mika was alluding to, and I think Omosh, is you always be playing genge. In one of our many groups that we are in, right, I said, if only we played Kenyan music the way we wear our bracelets. And by bracelets, I mean these bracelets that we keep on wearing over here, easy.
Yeah.
That identify you as Kenyan.
Yeah. Even the guy who stole from a bank,
Exactly.
he had a Kenyan bracelet.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So that way, it doesn't matter. At some point, wherever you go, people say, oh, he's Kenyan. You're wearing, we'll go to Cape Fear, we're wearing a Kenyan jersey, Kenyan Exiles. Right?
Yeah.
So, if you have a bandana, you have, it says Kenya, on your car, your flag. Or even have a tag that says Kenya. Right? So I think if we do it that way, then we are elevating. And I'm actually glad that this was brought up, because I think there was a motion that the president is suggesting or proposing, or the government, to tax the stations for all the non-local, for the foreign content that they bring.
But Mike, here's my concern, like also going back to what Sistuki was saying, in that what we have in Kenya is, I don't know the right word to use, but it's a problem that's at the root of how we were cultured musically growing up.
Okay.
We were cultured with all these different genres. And that's something that you just can't shade off.
No, you can't.
And you see, like, unfortunately, when you're in a club or in a venue that's playing consistently Kenyan music, it is a Kenyan who's gonna go up there to the DJ's booth and say, we cheza reggae, ama we cheza Afrobeat na nini. It is the same Kenyans who are gonna do that.
Very true.
And I think this is a problem with I don't know whether to call it as a problem, but just how we've been conditioned musically, in the sense that we've been brought up listening to this whole buffet. So that's why most clubs in Kenya, like the way they approach the music at night, is that they go through all this buffet. You'll hear them playing soul. At some point they're gonna play Lingala. At some point they're gonna play Afrobeat. At some point they're gonna play, like Kenyan music. So it's an existential problem. On the other hand, our Nigerian counterparts, they were not hearing all this music growing up. They don't know who. You have to know that in Kenya, I think we have a depth of knowledge on other African countries way more than most countries. And I know, some people from other countries may hear this and think that this is arrogance, but no, we just tend to, I don't know if it's the education system or maybe the media we are exposed to.
We consume music.
Yes, we learn so much more about other people, even beyond the music.
Yes. Correct.
Sometimes you're going to go ask, a Nigerian a very basic question about Kenya, a very basic question, like who was Kenya's first president, and chances are they don't know.
Right.
Right. And this is not a Kenya versus Nigeria thing, but it's just in how they've been cultured. One thing that we've been cultured to do in a Kenyan way, from the root up to where we are, is Kenyan food. That's why it's very easy to sell Kenyan food to Kenyans, because it's something that they're used to eating. They eat every day. They love eating it. So now with the music, there's that foundational aspect
Yes.
that this is how we've been cultured. So DJ anaona nikicheza hii mziki, nikicheza hii genge sana, by the second hour someone will come and say something, or the dance floor is gonna go empty.
And I think there's so many you can look at it from this perspective. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's something that we've always tried to decipher, but I will always stick to the script that the more you introduce, or the more the whatever you introduce and keep giving a baby, that's what that baby will keep on.
Absolutely.
That one you will not convince me otherwise. It is clear.
Yeah.
And you cannot dissuade that. Higher. Here's another thing. You just stated that, if there's something that has been sort of ingrained in our DNA is Kenyan food.
Yes.
That is why anyone can go there and say, hey, mazee unajua mtu anapika chapo. Unajua mtu anachapa samo.
Yeah.
Kuna mtu anachoma nyama samo, kuchama.
No one is asking for pizzas.
No one is asking for pizzas.
No.
Mtu analiza getheri, whatever, mahamri mnalasini, whatever. That's what people are asking. The same thing can be said for music. In as much as we can, when we had Deborah here, most of the times that she would spend, the story that she gave, if you've read the book Rough Silk, by the way, go get that book. How the father would go for Ohangla night. Forget even Rumba, but even Rumba or Ohangla. Then you have the local guys and I can't remember the guy's name. The guy, the local, the Ohangla legend.
Okach Big.
That one.
Yeah.
Famous guy. Big guy. She grew up with that. If that was ingrained in her by her dad, right? It was ingrained in her. So my point is this: we can ingrain in our kids.
Yes.
Kenyan. We always try to tell them they are Kenyan somehow. We try to introduce them to Nyamachoma or whatever. We try to take them to Kenya. We try to force them that they are Kenyan, but we ourselves don't really practice what we preach. So I will always be of the notion and of the opinion. It's very simple. The more you give a baby food, that is fufu. Atajwa fufu is the best
But
food.
now here we are talking about grown-up babies who've been fed this buffet. Like
at one
since
point
they were
in
young.
time, point in time, in the late 90s, early 2000s,
yes,
there was
a steady supply.
There was
yes.
a steady supply.
Yes, I agree.
There was a steady supply. Kina Nonini were coming here on rotation, nameless, Juakali.
So you can win out. You can win out this grown child slowly by slowly.
Like a mother, yes. Okay. And we did that very well.
That's a good example.
Very effectively.
Yes.
Very effectively.
It was on rotation.
Red Sun, the Dukes Vultures, Kina Darling P,
everybody came out.
Necessary Noise. Like, boss, you could even you could even rhyme word for word. Leo niko na ashu mfukoni na sijui da sijui what this that the other
ndani ya kanina ashu mfukoni
I mean, like yes, at that point in time, and we were actually searching and seeking.
Yes,
and that was the time to gorge ourselves in music, and we were doing that,
and so we lost that moment,
and we can change it still.
Yes,
because a lot of things happen. Because like now, whatever started playing in the Kenyan career in the outlets, when you have Nigerians coming in and being production managers in the major radio houses, that is what also changed.
But then you see, there's other things I'm learning, like in the music industry, and maybe Omosh can chime in here.
Oh, he's yawning so much on live on air.
Where there's
sorry,
I don't know Mosha meboy kana show nini, but
Sikulala.
Like there's so many other things that I'm learning about the music industry. Like I don't want to call them unethical practices, but practices that are not normal, whereby there was, I think there was a deliberate attempt. I don't know whether it's by record companies or by the artists' managers to pay people who own radio stations in other countries to play music. That pay-by-play is something that's there in the radio industry across the world. So I think that's something that the Nigerians did to their favor, because they invested a lot of money in their music being listened to in other countries. Even
in clubs. Okay, so you have the radio part of it where you'll have to infiltrate, you pay chaps, pay for play, right? But the number one place where all that was happening is, basically what happens is you go to the club, you pay the DJ, and pay the DJ to play the music. People listen to the music in the club, then they call into the radio stations and they ask for the music. So as a program manager, you're gonna have to find the music for your audience.
So how does this work? You go to a club, you find a DJ, and then you skumia him a brown envelope, or how exactly does it work?
As you're handing the music, you're handing the
an envelope.
Yes, you say, here's my CD.
Yeah,
and actually, we're talking about music here, but Nigerians were very big for doing that with movies, with the Nigerian movies. Remember when Nigerian movies were on DVD?
They were everywhere.
When we were not streaming, they were not on YouTube.
Yeah.
They were on DVD, and they would come volume 1, 2, 3, 4. They were like 6 parts, right? There's 6 different either VCDs or DVDs or whatever.
Yeah.
Those actual actors, the guys who came out the time of just before Kina Majid, that era,
the older ones, the great Idikoko.
No, before. Okay, after. Okay. So now we're talking about Kina Ike, Jim Ike, Ike
the Van
or whatever.
Vickers and Van
the Van
Vickers,
Vickers, yes.
Ghanaian,
they would come to Kenya.
Nadia Buhari.
They would actually come to Kenya because they realized Kenya had a market. Kenya was a market for them because their DVDs were really selling big time. They would come and actually go to places and push their music. Not music, I'm sorry, but push the films. And the same adage is what you use with the music.
Okay.
You come and you actually literally push it. You have nimekuja na vile tulikuwa na Debra hapa kwa studio amekuja na vitabu.
Yeah.
You go from club to club. In one night you can go, Electric Avenue. Umepiga Electric Avenue zile club zote.
Yeah.
Na umepeana.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what they were also doing in Kenya.
Yeah. Boss, it is something that, people may not acknowledge that it happens. It happens all the time.
Okay.
I can be DJing and a guy wants me to play his song. He's going to slip me a 20 and tell me play your song.
So do we have to do that as Kenyans also for our sound? Because
yes, you have to be aggressive in pushing your music, whichever way it is that you're going to do it.
The reason I'm asking is because I feel like the way South African music grew was more organic than a piano sound.
Yes.
I felt like it was more organic.
And you know why Amapiano? And think of it this way: Amapiano is not the first genre of South African music to grow.
No, it's not.
We've been dealing with South African music since
for a while,
1980 down.
Yeah.
And then it's just that Amapiano now crossed and it's out there in the open. But prior to that, when it was Kwaito was pretty much kind of like underground because it was coming in with house music.
Yes.
They would group them together. So when there's a house DJ or whatever, then they would need what's that DJ from South Africa? Ule wakana mkono moja.
The ones I know.
Coffee.
Yes.
Oh, Black Coffee.
Yes.
Black Coffee.
Black Coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy. When he was coming in, remember he was not an Amapiano guy. He was pre-Amapiano. Amapiano ni kitu tumetoka tu the other day. He was pre-Amapiano. But following yake, ukienda kwa club usikize watu wake, or you see like the way when guys know that he's coming, it's full. And it's not only South Africans. You're gonna find white
so many
guys.
other people.
You're gonna find, like Europeans, you'll find all sorts of different people. So their music grew.
And then also this other DJ is also very popular who I think Mika who anampenda in quotes anaitwa Uncle Waffles.
Boss, Uncle Waffles has taken this to another level. She has taken it to...
She's a DJ, but she's performing.
I literally... I'm putting her at the level of... unakumbuka saa zile kina nani walikuwa napiga Gunzo, kina Tiesto.
Yeah.
When you knew Tiesto, people are just falling down. They're like, oh my God, and she is that for an African DJ, for an African female DJ, and then for Amapiano. So in fact, when you talk about her, you cannot even say that she's female. You just talk about her as an Amapiano DJ.
Yeah, I know. You know, like Uncle
Who
Waffles,
performs.
yeah.
But now there's even people who do Amapiano in terms of dancers who just come in to dance to Amapiano. There's a DJ who's playing, but then they are dancing.
The dancers.
And people come specifically to watch these people
watch these dancers.
And they have endorsements, they have whatever. So you're right. Their music has become organic. It has crossed.
Remember,
and they are fanatics.
Remember, with South Africans, remember when Mafikizolo performed here? I can't remember which year it was.
2017, 2018?
At the end of the
17,
show.
18, I think.
So the show was amazing. But at the end of the show, the dancers. So Mafikizolo stepped back and they were like, let the dancers do their thing. And I think they were there for like 30 or 45 minutes, and I was like, it was like a whole, it was like a whole brand new concert.
Yes, those guys. The South African. I remember when we hosted when Swahili Village first opened. I think it was within year one or something.
Yeah,
there was some South African DJ who came from, I think either New York or came from SA. I'm not sure which it was. But the minute that person was coming, the crowd that came, Swahili Village ilikuwa imejaa na muziki ilikuwa nagonga,
and I think I was there
to the point where you felt the floor. You remember the floor was shaking?
Yes, it was shaking.
Actually shaking and vibrating.
I actually felt like something is going to happen.
Yes,
here.
as we knew, hapa tunaingia chini.
Yes.
We are gone. And it was bumping. It was full. I was like, wow.
Then remember, there are those other DJs. Those two, they called, is it Major League? They're those two. They're those two DJs who've been going. They even came and performed at Fire Station.
Major Lazer.
Is it Major Lazer? I can't remember their name, but they are a pair.
Yeah,
South Africans too. South Africans.
I think didn't they perform?
Yes,
for Terry Kerea.
Yes, they performed for Terry. I can't remember their name.
Yeah, the two guys.
Yes, the two guys.
Yes. And you see the crowd.
I think it was after the rugby, the Kerea All Blacks versus.
Yes, there was a rugby game, and that's a time. It was a time when we were slowly getting out of the pandemic.
It was
we were slowly getting out of the pandemic.
But I mean,
the thing with South Africans,
you see those crowds.
But the thing about South Africans is that they're willing to take risks, because who would have thought of an Uncle Waffles, like 10 years ago?
But Ali, you say they're taking risks. This is a Chile who was just a DJ, but because you now want to stand out
and be
then
unique.
Guess what? You now have dancers who you dance with, by the way. It's choreographed, right? So you're DJing, then at some point, you leave DJing, you come to dance, and you probably even have a backup DJ who's working tracks for you.
Yeah.
And by the way, she produces her own tracks as well. So it's not like so much that she may be playing, everybody else's stuff. No, she's also playing her own music. So she's going to make money as a DJ. She's going to make money as a producer. She's going to make money as an entertainer. So you have to pay her for all those roles. Okay. And you know that for sure if she's coming in, she's going to take this thing to another level. Okay. So the organicness of Amapiano, yes, it's there, the South Africans. But back to the Nigerians, they push their music and they're pushing it. And we as Kenyans, the hashtag is no longer enough. We have to take our music and walk the floors and say, hey, this is a Kenyan musician, play this. Because even the West African DJs do not play Kenyan music.
No, they don't.
Now here the thing is like, but somebody might take issue with you pushing our music, because Pablo here is saying, and the issue with Kenyan music is that there's no Kenyan music. Kenyan music copies beats, sounds, etc. from different countries. Hence,
bullshit.
we cannot specifically point out what is Kenyan music.
That's
bullshit. And
isn't Burna Boy sampling everybody else?
Like his last album, he sampled everyone.
Even last is sampled.
The thing with music is that music over the years has been sampling sounds from everywhere.
They always do.
Okay, let's read some
but Kenyan music to me, that is a wrong statement.
That's the thing. That's the beauty of it. I don't know why people insist that Kenya should have one specific sound. No country has one specific sound. Not single one country has one specific sound or genre. None. even
Yeah.
Nigerian, Naira Marley and Burna Boy and Ashake, 3 different artists sing 3 different sounds.
Okay, some comments
If you
here.
go to, so they, I really don't understand why people insist that Kenya should have one single sound. I've never understood
No,
that
but
thing.
Mika, okay, even if you say that, forget the one single sound. The fact that you're saying that Kenyan music is, what did you say? You said it's not original, it's copied or it's whatever. That to me is BS. Take any Trio Mio song.
Who did he copy from?
That's what I said. Take any Trio Mio.
Yeah.
Okay, take any Major. Forget Major. You guys were listening today to
Octopizzo.
Octopizzo.
Yeah.
I think
Watu
I
wanataka
played
muimbe traditional dances
kuna
huko.
Fena akona nini mpya.
Ulicheza
I didn't play the Fena song.
No.
Fena played with
You played career Under the Influence.
yes.
You played Under the
Yes,
Influence.
Under the Influence.
With,
But Fena has a new song with
Yes.
Okelo Max.
Okay.
Very, very nice. But I'm saying, and when you listen to the stuff, you're like, oh my God. And these things hit different areas. Kuna genge, kuna R&B-ish, kuna hip-hop, kuna trap. You know, we have all of those.
Okay, let me read some comments here. Slayer anasema Nigerians invest huge sums of money to get their songs played. Paka Citizen started airing them before lunchtime news. I think she's talking about the Nigerian movies.
Afro Cinema continues after this. So.
And then
Nonsense.
Sheke says the worst is those Nigerian movies that play all day, like Kenyans don't have content of their own. We should be playing shows like Moyo, Tausi, Tushauriane. Authentic Kenyan content. And
The ones that were banned?
Or not aping the West.
Zirudi.
And then
They were banned.
Slay says, I thought Uncle Waffles was a guy till I
No.
saw her page. that was also me. You
Yeah.
know, like whenever I was just seeing her mixes and her name, I thought it was a guy
Yeah.
because of the name Uncle Waffles. But yeah, you know, it's a
Before
young woman.
Kwefana.
And then Washeke anasema, I got so disappointed when I got to high-end hotels and Airbnb in Kenya. They look just like any other hotel in America. We seem to not have pride in our things. And then Philaroom says, hata Prince Inda na Bahati walikuwa na sound fiti ile song ya Adhiambo. Yeah, I mean, that was an amazing song. And then Lawrence Kihanya again with that, is Kenyan music only urban music when it comes to the international scene? And I think what I can tell Babahanya here is on the international scene is whatever will sell.
Correct.
If Mugithi sells on the
Yes,
international
if somebody
scene,
can push Mugithi well enough, it will sell.
yeah, if
Yes.
Mugithi is pushed and
It's
it sells
just
in
a
the
matter of
international
pushing it.
scene, you know, like well and good. If Ohangla is pushed in the international scene,
Push it.
and it goes out well and good.
And
the sounds now, the thing is, you know, and I think this is where, you know, because sometimes this argument of nyi watu wa Nairobi na nini comes up. The thing is that the Kenyan sound that sold outside the borders was Kapuka, ile akina Isa, and then now this Gengeton. These are the ones, Genge and Gengeton. These are the sounds that have that did sell to a certain extent outside the borders. And here's the other interesting thing. When you look at most countries, you know, like urban music, for one reason or another, tends to have an advantage. That tends to be the music that sells to other places. You know, like if you look at South America, for example, there was a time when reggaeton was popular.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
they have a lot of different sounds, you know, like in those countries, but this was an urban sound that went out and it blew up. So there is, you know, like an allure, you know, like to the urbanity. And even when people
Mupende musipende.
yeah, even when people
hip
come,
hop.
yeah, even hip hop, you know, like it was mostly
It was supposed to be, you know,
Yeah.
you know what, 5 o'clock, I'm
Yeah.
hungry, whatever.
Yes,
even
I know.
reggae.
I know it's mostly, you know, like it's mostly this urban music that tends to sell. So I think, you know, like people, I know people sometimes feel some type of way, you know, like when they hear about Genge music, but I think it's the same thing. If Mugithi can sell, I mean, people will be there and they'll be tuned into it. They'll be listening. So this is again a discussion that
it will never end.
All these music genres, our traditional music genres or the non-urban music, do very, very well in festivals as well as these circuits. When I say the circuits, I mean like shows or different cities, or like like the festivals, like let's say like Kinajabali, when they like
when they go around,
ikifika like around almost summertime, there's a circuit that au waga wanapiga wanaenda makina New Orleans, wakina
Kentucky,
nini,
all kinds of cities.
funny places where guys where they play bluegrass. Guys who listen to bluegrass will listen to Mogithi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's just pushing it. And once guys hear that, oh man, I like that sound. Okay, I hear the flute. I hear that this. I hear that. Oh, I hear cymbals. I hear that. They love that music. We just have to push it.
And then, as we wrap up this segment, we go to that other topic that people have been waiting for. Slay is telling you, Mosh, we also have to be open to criticism. There's a reason why Kenyan music is not trending as much as we would like.
Because we don't push it.
Maybe Slay, give us your thoughts
We
on
don't
why
push
that's
it.
not
No,
happening.
we are okay for criticism. But what I don't agree with is the fact that our music is repetitive or we are copying or whatever. That is not true. There's so much original Kenyan content.
Kitambo,
good
excuse
content.
ilikuwa, there's no, hakuna Kenyan music. Where can I find Kenyan music? Then music became accessible. Now the thing is, the sound is not original. Oh, we
don't like
different.
ourselves.
Now,
Like-
one of the big issues with Kenyans that I see, and I'll always call out those who like doing this, whenever there's a bad song, like Ilea Diana Bahati, it will be shared everywhere. And then people are gonna use that as a standard, and then they're gonna take the best song from Tanzania and then compare it to that. And this is a horrible song. This person is not even an artist, but people want to push that round. Now, when there's good music, all this good music that Omosh has been playing for us, most of the time when people hear that good music, they're like, I didn't even know, like we could sound, they're acting surprised. Like Kenyans cannot produce good music, and we are not pushing that good music. It took the international scene for Nikita Kering to be introduced to most Kenyans. And a lot of people
And
were
she was
shocked.
being given awards in Nigeria.
Yes, she was being given awards in different parts of the
Nigeria.
world. Yeah, and people are surprised. Oh, okay. How comes Atumjui?
How long when I debuted this? How long ago did I debut the Chilova? And I told you guys watch this.
I know that it was a while back.
minutes.
I think before the pandemic.
And I knew she was gonna blow up. There's just no way. And if she went the route of singing opera, because in fact I used to watch her when she used to practice and sing opera, like Pavarotti type stuff, before she started doing her own stuff, and then she would do covers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this small person with this big voice, because her voice is big, she has a big voice, and we have lots of people who are like her. Atemi is another one who is just, she's her genre is R&B, which is where Nikita is falling, and it's just that I don't think I'd say I'm a picture na wakati, but it's at some point you also have to say, okay, well, which market do I want to hit? Which Kenyans am I hitting? Now watu wa R&B in Kenya kuna market. Na watu utawapata palipa live music. You're not gonna hear them kwa hautawasikia kwa radio, mziki yao itakuwa kwa radio.
Yes.
Like another guy who you don't necessarily hear a lot of. Once in a blue stone, once in a while we hear him, Eric Wainaina.
Eric Wainaina,
Because
yes.
live music, live shows, oh my god, you can't beat him on that.
No,
But
you can't.
kama ni mziki ambayo pengine itachezwa radio, utapata 1 or 2 or 3 because of the content of the song, but you're not going to find a lot of Eric songs being played. Another guy who was very hot, and he's I think kuvuta vitu, Harikimani, if you remember.
What?
That everybody who dealt with that guy were like, this guy here is a masterpiece. But unajua alipitwa na wakati, things happened, but we have a lot of stories like that in Kenya, and we as the audience also sometimes have to go and find these jamas, or even go to places where they have live bands.
I know.
And watch them.
Just to add quickly, Harikimani, Kwame Reggae, was supposed to link up and do a song.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Yes. So now, this topic, of course, we're going to keep talking.
We'll keep on talking about it.
But we want action to be taken at individual levels. It starts in your household. Start playing for your children Kenyan music. And maybe when they grow up like that's a music that they'll grow up with and they'll want to listen.
Let me call out Lawrence because he's over here trying to make funny comments, but you go into his house, all he's playing is bongo flavor. But carry on.
Okay, all right. But that's
can we ban him from listening?
No, and
I'm just asking for a friend.
And it's okay. No, it's okay to play bongo flavor.
I don't have a problem with that.
But make sure the majority of what's being played in your household, let's start even at 51%. Let's make sure at least 51% of what's playing in your household is Kenya. You have a whole other 49%.
He'll play 51% bongo flavor, 48% Mugithi.
But
that's fine.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
Because
okay.
those
52%.
Those things get ingrained. So now So now, his son, now he's he, at some point, he'll actually go look for Mugithi. Because like, oh man, and he'll go look for it online and he'll listen to it.
Yeah. All right. So now let's move on to, the topic that most of you have been waiting for. And before that, I think Babahanya here is saying plays reggae 99%. So, yeah. So here you are, I think this is a conversation and you might attend. Now, the first ever conference targeting men and women who are either already in a polygamous relationship or those seeking to join one is slated to happen in Nairobi. Now, this is according to Citizen Digital. Now, the event dubbed Beyond Polygamy will go down on October 29th, 2023, is seeking to attract people with a desire to demystify polygamy and also not just further advance the agenda, but also help open up the unconventional family setup to more people willing to participate. Now, this is set to happen at the prestigious Emara Ole Sereni Hotel along Mombasa Road. The conference will feature a host of women and men drawn from various sectors and who all will be preaching the same mission of polygamy. While speaking about the event, Lula Aginga, the coordinator of Beyond Polygamy, said the event would also attract women to engage a conversation that has long been a taboo. Now, this conference will attract women all over East Africa to engage in a conversation that has been seen as a taboo in modern society. She says it's a conference to help demystify polygamy that left many women stigmatized when their husbands marry or when they join a family as a second or even third wife. Now, further, the organizers say the conference will help polygamous individuals discover new perspectives, connect with like-minded individuals, and have fun while at it. Polygamy is part of our rich human history, and it is time we discussed openly without fear of stigma, one of the organizers said. Now, this is according to an article from Citizen Digital. I mean, at this point, I want to open up the floor and just get thoughts, views, and even whether you support the idea of having a polygamy conference. Let me start with you, Uno Mike, this time.
Absolutely, there's no problem with having a polygamy conference. We've been seeing a whole. Somebody asked me a very interesting. Somebody made a statement when this video was shared, and they said, if LGBTQ plus are on the streets demanding rights, where are the polygamists? Where are they on the streets to demand their rights? But people say don't always harken back to what our ancestors did, our forefathers did. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. I'm not going to look at my grandfather, but I'm going to look at my uncle. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about Uncle Yang. Mm-hmm. Polygamist. He alikuwa na baby wawili, unfortunately moja, one passed away.
Baba. No, continue.
Yeah. One passed away, but he was a polygamist, mm-hmm. and it worked, for them. So I think it is also something that should be discussed, because if it's a possibility, then why not? We've seen cultures that do that. They practice. The only reason that it's always ridiculed, I mean, we won't even go far. Upper Utah, sister wives.
The Mormons.
Yeah. Sister wives. And in fact, they even have a show. Like it is for something to be put on, like on media and whatever, it is something that, you know, it's not only entertaining, but people are willing to do it. And like somebody else said, you know, it's probably better to have practice polygamy than have clandays. And I'll let Mika chime in on that one.
Mika Och.
Which one is it chiming on the clandays or the nini?
Everything.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mika.
He's with the clanday. He can't hear us. So I'll jump in before Mika gets to jump in.
Yes.
So I actually come from a polygamous, I guess family, household, whichever one you want to call it. My dad had 2 wives. And it was interesting. So my mom is Mama Mkubwa. And then at some point, another mama showed up.
There's a Luo word for that. Miai, Kiai, the first wife, the old wife.
What, Mikai?
Mikai. Okay.
Yes.
So your mom is Mikai.
Yes. So
Okay.
when I said another mama, as in Mbuyu showed up with a mama.
Like at an event or
How?
showed up.
How? Amekam na yeye.
event,
Amekam na yeye akasema okay.
Ali.
Presentation, it is what it is.
Or to introduce her to
Yeah,
you guys, but not bringing her to live in the household.
He brought her home. Actually, she stayed for a quick second. Kulikuwa na war. Then she was sasa alipelekwa kwake.
Oh, okay, she was given
there
her
was
own place.
Yeah, she was given her own place. But this is prior to. So I don't know what he was thinking when he brought her to the hao. That one of I guess alikuwa nasema mimi sasa mimi ndio dume nime. So but kulikuwa na kawa hapo.
Yeah.
But at some point, I think Made looked at things and analyzed and aliti lakini ilikuwa ile ya okay nimeti lakini
She's aliti under protest.
nimeti lakini huyu aeze kaa hapa hatuwezi kaa kwa nyumba moja. It's just
And that's fair enough.
you know what I'm saying? So she got her own place and I grew up with with the other kids as my siblings. And to date, bado tuko on the same page. Now my dad is since deceased. My dad's been gone for over 20 years. So but I still communicate with them, still keep up with them because when I left the country, when I left Kenya to come over here, of course kulikuwa na hiyo separation. Then at some point I guess
They moved
they no walikosana. Between dad and second wife. But the kids, structure
The bond was still there.
Of course, the kids are his kids.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, the bond was still there for the toys. And I'm like, okay, these are my siblings. And so no matter what happens, even if let's say sasa huyo mama amekosana na my mom or my dad, it does not break the bond of the blood.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they are still my siblings. So if I introduce, I say, oh, okay, hey, one Mike, this is my brother, so and so. Okay? Now, growing up, even with other folks in polygamous households or some of my other relatives who are in a polygamous, or even, let's say, the Nziak and my dad, you couldn't tell which child was from which mother because they were all brothers. They all lived in the same space. They all lived in the same compound, no fences, nothing. And like in other homes where you go in and sazile sasa mzee anagawanya udongo anasema okay wewe you'll build there, you'll build there, you'll build there. So everybody goes builds na wanaweka fence. How kwetu we don't have a fence. But the brothers all built based upon where they fell and which mother they came from and so on and so forth. And that's how basically the home is divided. You go to the left side, you go to the right side, and the way it's divided, it's based upon you look at the gate, the entrance, and then sasa the main home waga in the middle, and then unagawanya. Sasa older goes to the left, to the right, then Evie, and so on and so forth. And then if you're a step, unapewa karibu na nini. Sasa wa mama mdogo pengine unapewa karibu na gate, because we are a little bit further, because they also factor in that huyu akipewa hapa na huyu apewe huku juu, then pia yeye atakuwa na watoto wao pia watataka udongo. So they space allocated in that spacing. They're like, okay, over here, if sasa now this first kid gets, and so on and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is that they were a community. it was done that one of you're here to help. So wife number one is older. She's kind of I guess I would say getting tired, or potentially would get tired. You bring a younger one who's supposed to be able to help with those duties of the hao and so on and so forth. Na pia yeye atakuwa na watoto. Sasa watoto wadogo pia watasaidiana hapa. So it was a community type of thing. And so for me, I don't have a problem with polygamy because I grew up in it, I saw it, and I've seen it work. I've also seen it not work because there were times, even in our own family structure, where it was a problem. Because even though my mom came from a polygamous household, ye mwenye hakuwa anataka hiyo story.
Now,
Which is something I don't understand.
No, but that's an interesting point to bring up because within, within our Muslim cultures, we're allowed to marry up to 4 women. And one thing that you're also always counseled about, like when you want to marry a second wife or a third wife, is that it is normal for the woman to be jealous. Like there's nothing, even if she did come from a polygamous family, there is no woman in this world who's just going to be happy and excited that the husband, is marrying someone and now she has a new helper. There is no that just doesn't exist.
Because the helper gets conjugal rights. I guess if they were not getting conjugal rights, then they would be fine.
So that's why I think that's where we need to be sensitive to the fact that there's no woman out there who wants to share.
It's a human thing.
Wants to share the husband. There's no woman there who wants to do that. So you have to be kind and polite about it. Like when you're doing it, and not throw it in someone's face, and not even remind them that their dad was also polygamous.
Correct.
Just deal with them,
one-on-one,
where they are. Some comments here that I'm seeing coming here. There's one interesting one. I'm going to read it last. But Lawrence is saying women should be promoting polyandry, not polygamy. Men should be the one promoting polygamy. And then Phil says most relationships in our times now a polygamy lakini chini ya maji, iji side pieces na side dude. Polygamy in the closet, which is very true. I agree with Phil on that. That's polygamy in the closet. And then Washeke is telling on mic 5 men to 1 woman. I'm not sure.
Because I asked about the
about.
ratios. Because pertaining to Lawrence asking, saying that women should be pushing polyandry, and whatever. So I was asking the ratios.
Okay, all right. Now,
apparently, 5 men to 1 woman.
No, that's not a true statistic.
I think it's more.
It's 5 men to 1 woman.
Now, Ndinda is saying, I think those of us who came from normal, in quotes, and I like that she's putting it in quotes, normal families impose our perfect household mentality on others. It's so important to know what kind of household the person you're dating, but obviously that portion of dating is underrated. So that's very true. Like there's this idea of imposing, like this is our perfect nuclear family. This is how your family should look like. And then Tabitha is saying, in the modern day, what is the purpose of polygamy? I'm curious, and we're going to come back to that purpose of polygamy. And Esther here said, this discussion is nice and dandy until no one wants to imagine that polygamy includes women having multiple husbands. Question, who is running the polygamy conference? I'm sure it's men. From the ad that has been circulating,
it's women.
I bet she hasn't seen the ad.
Yeah, probably she hasn't seen the ad.
I can
someone, if you have
Esther
the video, send it
the
to Esther so that she can see it.
She can look it up.
She can look it up.
Women. Now, here's the other interesting question I have for the women on set, and I always ask this question. I never get a clean-cut answer because with this topic, sometimes I feel like there's like a lot of reaction to what the guys say. And we don't get to hear
95%.
We don't get to hear what the woman wants. I've always asked this question: is there a woman out there, or maybe is there any woman like out here tuned in, who has the desire of having 2 husbands or 2 men at the same time? Please type yes if you're a woman who desires having 2 husbands or 2 men at the same time. If you're one of those, please type yes. If not, no. So most of the time when I ask this question, the answer that I normally get is, oh, me, I don't want another man, but I know someone. I have a friend. So my other question is this a feeling that women are suppressing? You know, they really wanna be able to enjoy the love of 2 or 3 men at the same time, but they're suppressing it because of society. I've always wanted to know the answer to that, and I never seem to get what do you call it? I never seem to get a clear-cut answer. So
Ali,
I'd love for people to say something. Mika.
So for me, this is how I see it, right? As Slay has said out there are some women who are pretty much okay with being in polygamous relationships. And it's okay. I think when we are talking about this these days they call it consensual non-monogamous relationship, it's about two people who meet and are like-minded on what they want and how they want the relationship to be, and then moving on from there. Now, the thing is, if we look, Tabitha asks, what is the purpose of polygamy in this modern society right now, as it is right now? If we put it in the modern context, we have a high context of the sponsor culture, right? And that is everywhere. In America, it was sugar daddy. Kenya, it was sponsors. Sponyo. South Africa, it was blessers, right? It's something that's out there. And why is it out there? Because people, or rather, there are women who actually go after these men to take care of them and provide for them. While this is all happening, families are created. People get pregnant. People get kids. And then something happens, let's say to the provider of that kid. And then all of a sudden, that kid has no right to any property. They're looked as outsiders. They're not protected even, can't be added to insurance, can be to them for medical treatment. Now, if you allow polygamy and they are recognized as part of the family, of that man's family and that man's house, and they are willing and they're open of being a second wife, and the first wife has no problem with this man taking a second wife, you have protected that family unit, not only just that woman, but also the kid. So for me, if it's something that people are consensual about it and they can agree about it, it's way better than your husband being a sponyo to somebody. At least you know he has a second wife somewhere. If he's not here, he's here. There's this other family. You don't have any surprises. You don't get the current surprises that people do get during funerals, is when another family comes out. Or when you've been living with somebody, you think there's somebody, you have a kid with them during a funeral, is when you realize this guy already had a family before you and a wife, and you don't stand any chance in anything.
And to answer, to add on to what Mika is saying, and also to answer Jerry, and to give a practical example, again, like I said, I won't even go far. My uncle, one wife at one point in time could not conceive.
Mm-hmm.
She went out and brought somebody and told my uncle, okay, we're gonna tutajisort hapa si watatu. So there's also that aspect of
continuing lineage.
Continuing lineage.
But you know, the argument that will be brought is that sometimes it could be the man who can't conceive.
Yeah, but they ended up having kids.
Yeah, no,
So, but
I think
fine.
that the counter argument to that is usually
That's-
it's not
yeah.
always a woman.
You may have gone
Agreed.
and found out that you're not
can't.
the issue.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You have gone and found out you're not the issue. So if that is the issue and you're not the issue, but the woman is willing to be part, to be this, to go and find a solution because they want to be in that, like, hakuna problem. So in the current context, it does happen, and that's how it happens. That's how that is how polygamy would happen. There are people actually who just say, the women who just say, because of the way polygamy is shunned, wanataka tu mbegu.
Okay. Now, Washeke is saying I'm pro-choice, including marriage. Issue is most of the times polygamy is forced on the woman. And Washeke, please share with us, the basis of what you're saying. Because, and the reason I say this is because there's certain things that are said, I personally don't know. I know there are situations where the women are forced into polygamy, and I also know there are situations where they get into it voluntarily. So if there's any study out there that shows a majority of the women that are in polygamous relationships have been forced, feel free to share that with us, and we'll be happy to analyze that, because I think we also want to look at this from a very practical aspect.
Yeah.
But back to the question that Tabitha was asking, what's the purpose of polygamy, in the modern world today? And for me, I'll come it from the perspective of my culture, and a lot of Muslim cultures, we have a method and we have a reason behind why everything happens. So part of the reasoning, that even happens in the modern day is that you have situations where, for example, a woman has been widowed and she has 3 kids. Let's be very honest, guys. If you're a single guy, and maybe she was widowed very young, maybe she was widowed at age 32, you have 3 kids. Most likely, yes, there are exceptions of a guy who will agree to take that burden, but for the most part, a single guy who has no kids, has never married, is not taking a chance with that.
Yes.
Most likely. And here we are just talking as guys.
It's true.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. And even you as a mother, if you have a son, you will very likely not want your son to go into a situation where he's marrying, a widow. It's his first time to marry. And he's marrying a widow who has 3 children. So let's also be fair. So now, the idea behind polygamy was to protect, such women, because she's young. She still needs, that male companionship. Maybe she still wants to have other children. So that's one reason. There's women who've been widowed, and then you also have the age factor. Sometimes someone could be of a certain age where maybe she can no longer, have children, which is just sometimes a biological reality, that women face at some point. So there's all different kinds of situations that sometimes women are involved in. Because as a guy, if you lose your wife, even at age 60, you will still very easily go and find another woman.
Yes.
But for the woman, it's not exactly that easy.
Yes.
And that's where, like I say, there should never be any compulsion. No one should ever be forced to go into a polygamous marriage, and if there's any culture that does that, I think, I would agree with Washeke that is wrong. That should not happen. But at the same time,
that's culture,
people who voluntarily go into polygamous setups should be respected, because there's a way in which this modern society looks down upon that.
100%.
Yet you don't know what situation exactly they were in for them to want to go into that situation. Now, one quick thing also, when we look at I don't know what the Bible says about polygamy, but I can tell you what the Quran says about polygamy, and I'll tell you why. And I can already see some people disagreeing. So the limit was set to 4. What people need also to understand is monogamy is a very recent concept in most societies in the world. At some point, it was imposed on a lot of other communities through colonization and so it's a very recent, when you look in Africa, you're still talking about your uncle. We are still talking about our grandparents.
My grandfather had 4 wives.
Yeah. So it's a very recent concept. So when we go back to when some of these rules were coming in, that was a time when people were easily having 10, 12 wives. So that issue of 4 wives at the time it was coming was actually very progressive, because we're actually limiting. We don't want these stories of you having, 7, 8, 9 wives and a couple of concubines. So it was at that time it was very progressive, and there's a lot of conditions that come. If you're doing it from the Islamic perspective, there's a lot of conditions that come with having a second wife, because at the end of the day, you are still the breadwinner for both families. It doesn't matter if the wives are working, so you have to take care of them, not only financially, but also emotionally and spiritually, and in all other ways that someone is taken care of, and in a fair way. In a fair way where you're not favoring one more than the other. So it's not necessarily one of the easiest things to do. So I guess, you know, like maybe that does partially answer Tabitha why, you know, like polygamy is allowed in, or even in this modern world, why polygamy may come into being.
Now, in Christianity or the Bible, I don't know, maybe you want to chime in, but when it comes to Christianity and the Bible, back in the day, in the Old Testament, polygamy was sasa. King Solomon, one of the wisest, had how many wives and how many concubines? It was pretty much allowed. Like, you know, kusaidiana, ideally, you know, you're single, kuja hapa, pewa ule. You know, that used to happen a lot. But, you know, when Jesus came and, you know, when he said, you know, it is done, you know, that shuka was cut, split in two. Then he said, you know, ideally what was said was that out with the old, in with the new. Now, that one is up to interpretation, and would be glad to have a theologian address that. But I just find sometimes when it comes to the Bible that certain aspects of the Bible, which is okay, but there are certain, you know, they pick certain parts, like even in the Old Testament, to probably prop up a point, depending on what type of point it is. You know, like now, for example, this thing of tithing, which is another story. You know, because ideally, when it comes to tithing, you know, it's supposed to be the Levites. If you're from the line of if you're a Levi or you're from Levi, only those people are supposed to collect tithing. You know, I just find that interesting. But that is the Bible. It depends in what context you're using it. You know, just like how sometimes, you know, like you have hadiths when you know, and we've had this discussion where some people use some hadiths to support their point to go and do whatever. We have the same thing in Christianity. But at some point, you know, it's a discussion that needs to be had, because with Washeke saying that there's a 5-to-1 ratio of women, of is it men to women, right? So 5 men for 1 woman. Washeke, then I guess that goes to your question. Then why, if that is the case, why doesn't woman marry 2-3 men?
I thought it's the other way around. 5 women to 1.
It was Sheke who was answering.
Because there's more.
No, I don't think that's that. I think she was joking.
I know she was joking.
Whatever the ratio is, there's more women than men.
There's more women than men.
Yes.
And so if every woman wants to be wifed up, then you're going to have to double or triple or, you know, quad.
Yeah. So
wants to marry, even if a woman wants to be in a poly relationship and she meets a man who want to be in that relationship with her, let her be. Like, let people do what they want to do.
So I think, you know, like that, and that's a point where this always comes up that women can also do it, and we are not disputing. But then also, let's not mix up polygamy and cheating. Those are 2 different things. You know, cheating is polygamy without the responsibility. So in as much as, you know, there are so many people who are, you know, like against the idea of polygamy, they're in a polygamous relationship, but they're in a polygamous relationship without the responsibility of their husband actually taking care of that other woman, because that happens, you know, like quite frequently. And yes, we know that women cheat, because I think that one is 100%. That's what comes out. And yes, we know that they can cheat.
See the amount of DNA tests that you have to do, that you do when you go to family
court. But the question I've always wondered, because there's a lot of guys out there who'll admit to you, yes, they want to be with more than one woman at the same time.
Yes.
So to me, I'm also looking, you know, because whenever these arguments come up, I always hear that women can do it too. So are they doing it out of reaction to what men are doing, or are they doing it out of a desire? I actually, like my whole life, I'm suppressing myself with one husband, but my desire is to have like 3 or to have like 4, you know, and you know, like, don't tell me, you know, my friend, I want to know, like, is this in the group chats? Because with men, I'll tell you, it's a majority of them. It's an overwhelming majority of the men, you know, and don't let nobody lie to you. It's a majority of the men out there who, you know, like, have that desire to be with more than one woman. But when what answer I'm looking for is this also the same thing with women? Is it a majority of the women who have this desire of being with more than one man, but it's just society holding them back and suppressing them back? That's what I'm trying to find out. I never seem to get a clear-cut answer on this.
Before we wrap up,
Yes.
Tabitha has made a comment here, and maybe we'll finalize up on this. Maybe you want to read the comment, or should I read it then you answer?
Go ahead and read it.
So she says here, I say this with a lot of love. Women have been asked far too long to suppress their feelings of anger and been taught to accept it and to dismiss their feelings as being trivial. Because in many cases, when there is polygamy, you find the woman is upset. Like the story Omosh gave us, we don't have to go far for such examples. Ali asked Washeke to provide a study that women in polygamous marriages are unhappy. Can we please ask Ali to give us a study that shows that women in polygamy are happy? We are all talking anecdotally.
Okay.
So-
Let me ask a question. Let's talk about monogamous marriages, because people have experience with monogamous marriages. Are people in monogamous marriages happy? We do have some stats regarding monogamous marriages because there's no polygamy here in the US. So we do have stats.
56% end up in divorce. Carry on.
56% end up in divorce. And by the way,
In America,
that 56% are those ones who've gone to a court and have said we can no longer do this. So that means the remaining
44%.
44%, there are some who are still unhappy. So if we just do an estimation and add 10%, so yes,
give or take.
Tabitha, there are statistics. 66% monogamous relationships. Aaron, and that's beyond unhappy, because when you're going to the point of filing for a divorce is not a celebration. So yes, there are statistics and they're out there, they're available to see. So there are statistics. These are monogamous marriages. And I have something to say about happiness, which may not make some people happy.
Are you happy not being happy? Are you happy not being happy about
No.
happiness?
I honestly think it's, in this world we live today, we live in such a way where we want to be excited and stimulated most of the time. I'm not out here to give any marriage advice. I'd be the very wrong person to do that. But I'll tell you one thing that that I've gotten advice a lot from different people who have so much experience with marriages, successful, failed marriages. They're like, one of the wrong metric to look at is people look at this thing called happiness. You should think of your marriage as just the way sometimes you think of your family. Like in your family relationship, are you always happy? When you're with your siblings, when just generally you're with your family, are you always happy? So I think this thing called happiness is what sometimes brings impatience and brings problems, because you're seeing monogamous marriages fail at a rate of 56%. I'm not saying polygamous marriages are not failing. I'm totally not saying that, but I'm saying the reason for failure is, if we want to go happiness, why are monogamous marriages failing at 56%, and it's actually maybe 66 or 70%? They're just those other ones who haven't
hawajajitokelezea.
So maybe Tabitha, maybe you can talk to us and tell us about that, because this thing called happiness. Are you happy? Uno Mike, are you happy? Omosh, are you happy?
Me, I'm always happy.
And the reason I'm saying this is I think a lot of young people are getting into marriages nowadays. Those old systems that we had of mentorship and advice, when those systems are broken down. So now, what tends to happen sometimes with younger couples is you go see a YouTube video that says 10 reasons that he's no longer your soulmate.
Podcast.
Okay, Mungo Mika.
And to me, I think these are topics that I think we need. I mean, it's unfortunate that we don't have, like a female on panel today. I would have liked for the panel to be balanced, because I think.
Or dare you not get down on one knee?
you know, like
Wewe.
wachana na hiyo hapo. That's a whole different
De Beers. Oh, sorry. Oh, the diamond.
no
A girl's best
no
friend.
no
Oh,
boss.
sorry.
Let's not go there.
Oh, we don't go there.
Yani hata
let's-
umeenda ukatoa DBS 19 ilikuwa 1930.
No, you guys, this is a very serious topic. I don't know why you guys are making fun, but to me, that metric of happiness, this idea that people in polygamous relationships are inherently not happy. Where did it come from, and how much better is it than what we have in monogamous marriages? Because I think these are some of those things that are said so many times, but you know, like I've never seen anything to back it up.
Washeke says actually there are many in polyamorous relationships, but do it behind closed doors due
Yeah.
to stigma from society. Society is always unfairly harsh to women who choose non-traditional lives. Ali just said that majority of this from Tabitha, that majority of men want to have multiple wives and be polygamous. I am not a man, so I will say yes, and that view should be respected. In the same time, majority of women want monogamy. That is indeed an anecdotal fact, just as Ali's is an anecdotal fact. So, we should honor what the men want, and we also want to honor what the women want. So that puts us in such a quagmire quality. We are on different sides of the fence, Yawa. And that is why men are from Mars, women are from...
And you'll find a man who wants what you want. It's not hard. Tafuta tu mtu wako.
Na wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mika Ochkade.
Are you happy?
Hey man, I'm very happy. And
Hii
peaceful.
kitu inaitwa happiness.
Lord.
Happiness nayo niko nayo mob. Nikugawie. Hiyo niko nayo mob.
Hapana, Mika, hiyo happiness yako inaweza kuja na kitu ingine, inakuja na
By the way, sasa hiyo inaongezanga extra happiness.
Mala cool mouth. Please.
Extra level.
Please.
Sasa ni good extra. But naturally, yes, I'm happy. Anyway, it is a happy Friday, happy week. I want to wish everybody a happy weekend. And man, it's getting cold.
Cuffing season.
What were flu shots? Kachukueni flu shots. Those who get vaccines, like remember, holiday seasons are approaching. Halloween is right next to the corner. It's time to be careful, people. I know you always say we have be careful, but still, it's party time. Remember, don't drink and drive. I just want to thank all of you for showing up today, all our fans, my fellow presenters, and wishing everybody a nice weekend. Don't forget, Boston Marathon. I think it starts at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago Marathon. So tune in, let's support those Kenyans, and everybody else be safe this weekend. Have a wonderful day.
Once again, we want to thank our audience for being who you are, and the comments are becoming fast and furious. Thank you. These topics, hey, kuna topics zingine I think I have to veto. Even maybe those days I have to go look for a blanket and sleep underneath. With that said, it's a holiday weekend actually for me. I know I'm on holiday on Monday.
Acha kuringa boss. Ni sawa tu.
No, boss, see, unajua watu wengine Thanksgiving don't, so anyway, with that said, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your time. We, like Mika said, it's coming up to, the what is it, Thanksgiving, these holiday shenanigans, nini watu wa kwenda Kenya. I hope mumeba hizo tiko. Hizo prices have been very interesting. I think they kind of started going down at some point. Me, I gave up. But with that said, I will see you guys next weekend. And yeah, just hug your loved ones. Kesho is not, and I will repeat, not promised. Peace.
All right, Sante Sana DJ Mosh, and I want to thank like all those who tuned in. Very interesting comments. This comment sections, is like a show on its own. Sometimes I feel like I need to take a break and just go on the side. You guys continue with the show, and I go read the comments. So yeah, so very interesting comments coming in today. We still have like an interesting guest lineup set up for you. So keep watching us. We appreciate you very much, and feel free to suggest who you want us to talk to, or what conversations you want us to have, or what panelists you'd like us to have on set, so that we can continue giving you entertainment while giving you value at the same time. Na kwa hayo machache, yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mteule, na operator akishika simu mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, unamkumbusha ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.
Feeling how I